Who's doing the introduction?
I thought Ryan was going to do it. Ryan normally does it. But yeah, good evening, everyone. Welcome along to the RS Media live commentary of the Monday evening game between Burnley and Tottenham Hotspur from Turf Moor. Here with Connor today for his RS Media debut as well. So how are you, mate? You okay?
Yep, I'm glad to be here. Hopefully looking forward to a decent game of Monday night football. The two teams don't offer the most enticing game if you're looking from previous fixtures, but hopefully Spurs carry on with their free-flowing, high-scoring games, and they scored 7 goals in their last 2 away games, so let's hope for more of the same.
That's right, and you mentioned there as well, even in midweek as well, they scored 3 in the Europa League. So they're free-flowing and free-scoring sides at the moment, Spurs. Son as well and Kane are both on fire, the pair of those two.
I feel as though everyone around the world has got more of an eye on Spurs recently. Maybe it's due to the Amazon Prime documentary, or just the fact that the game against Manchester United where they just truly embarrassed them, or whether the fact that people are remembering that they usually bottle some of the games that they had, or having, thrown away a 3-0 win within the last 10 minutes against Spurs, breaking a record for the only team to do that with that little time left.
Yeah, against West Ham.
You really don't know what Spurs you're going to get.
Yeah, against West Ham last week, yeah. And of course, we've got Haley in the chat there, big Spurs fan, just saying, come on, you Spurs. I'm a big Arsenal fan myself as well, so it's a little bit strange for me to be doing Spurs. It's all well and good, though. I like to branch out and things like that, and do whatever team. And I won't be biased, don't worry.
No, you have to train yourself to be impartial in these situations.
Yeah.
As a West Ham supporter, I'm more than ready to compliment Spurs and give them their due when it's come in. But maybe I'll have a slightly stronger smile on my face if Burnley do take the lead in this game. Burnley are the sort of team that if they do get ahead, they're going to do everything in their power to stop it. And I would probably, I'd put more money on Burnley being able to hold on to a 3-0 lead compared to Spurs at the moment, just because of the way that their mentality is when it comes to holding on to very limited amount of leads that they actually get. Burnley struggling so far this season.
Burnley are just about, fortunate to get any points, let alone goals at the moment. The 0-0 was their first point of the season. They are a few games behind, obviously, with the game against United that was put back as well and postponed. But they're only this is their 5th game, I think, now, going into the season in the league. And that was their first point last week, yeah.
Yeah, and you've got to go back to the game on the 3rd of October, the 3-1 loss to Newcastle. Newcastle have been proven to look a poor side at times. And the fact that they were managed to be broken down so easily, and then to let Callum Wilson score 2 against you. I think Burnley are actually struggling without the fans in the crowd. I think Turf Moor was a fortress, and now it's just, would they get turned over by Southampton if they had the whole crowd of Burnley willing them on behind, or if they had the away fans there, would they have got battered so badly by Leicester early on in the season? I don't necessarily think they would have. But yeah, they did get a point on the board against West Brom, and I think that Sean Dyche will be hoping that he can use that to secure up his defence, and hopefully they'll get a couple of chances to go forward and make this game nice and open. But I imagine we'll see quite a conservative Burnley side so far.
We'll jump into the lineups as well. So the Burnley lineup is one change from their game against West Brom there. Nick Pope remains in goal. We've got Loughton coming in for Peters as the one change there. And then Long, Tarkowski, Taylor, Westwood, Brownhill, Goodmanson, McNeil, Wood and Barnes is the Burnley lineup there, with the subs of Peacock, Farrell, Rodriguez, Dunn, Benson as well, the young lad Benson, Stevens, Brady and Vidra. And the Spurs lineup, they've got 4 changes today from their game last week against West Ham there, with Hugo Lloris, Doherty, the signing from Wolves, coming in for Aurier is one of those changes. Alderweireld is in there as well. You've got Dyer in for Sanchez, Davis in for Reguilon, Sissoko and Højbjerg both start. Mora's in for Bergwijn, and Ndombele is the final midfielder there as well. And then, of course, we've got Son and Kane, the two lethal sort of attacking players, with a bench of Reguilon, Bale, Lamela, Joe Hart, former Burnley goalkeeper, is on the bench as well. Joe Rodon, Lo Celso, and Vinicius Jr. was the final sub as well. Michael Oliver is today's ref.
Yeah, Vinicius Jr., not the one that most people may know from Real Madrid, but this one was signed from the Portuguese league. He made his first proper contribution to the Tottenham side on Thursday against LASK, and he looked quite a handful. Obviously, it's a hard opposition to really get a full, clear context of how good he may be, but he got himself an assist and just proved to be a real nuisance, whether he had Bale or Son behind him. And it'll be really interesting to see just how aggressively Tottenham start. As you know, obviously 15 minutes, they were 3-0 up against West Ham. Same sort of situation against Manchester United. That eventually ended up being 6-0. They've put 5 past Southampton, who just on Saturday got a clean sheet and 3 points against Everton. So this side really do know how to get the ball in the back of the net. And it's going to be really interesting to see with the way that they've lined up. Mourinho's always been known to play a 4-2-3-1 formation, but the midfield of Højbjerg, Sissoko and Ndombele does make you think it could be more of a 4-3-3 with Kane in that false 9 position and Son just making those runs in on the channel. But Burnley, they're sticking with the 4-4-2. Mm-hmm. Sorry, mate.
No, I was just going to say it looks more like a 4-3-3, yeah.
And then you've got Burnley sticking with the 4-4-2. Ashley Barnes will be hoping to get himself on the score sheet tonight and kick off his campaign for the Premier League. And then you've got Goodmanson, who's struggled for starts so far this season. This is his second start and his third appearance. Same situation for the likes of... No, sorry, not the same situation for the likes of Ashley Westwood, Josh Brownhill and Dwight McNeil, who have played 100% of Burnley's games so far this season. Be interesting to see how Matt Loughton does, having not played so far this season. And he'll be replacing, I believe it's Eric Peters. And Phil Bardsley's not in today's squad due to having a positive COVID test. So whether or not that means Burnley will be slightly in a worse position than they were last week where they drew with West Brom, I feel as though they are probably going to be just as difficult as they usually are. I always am very impressed with Sean Dyche's persistence to stick with the 4-4-2, even when it has, been detrimental to the way his side has gone forward at times.
I'm just going to have a look here. Actually, Spurs are on the screen now. It looks, like Ndombele is going to be in sort of like the number 10 position, I suppose, and then Son and Lucas Moura are either side of Kane there. So it looks like Ndombele is the furthest forward of the 3 midfielders out of the centre mids anyway.
Yep, there's Ashley Barnes. He's a fantastic player when he's on form. It's just sometimes he goes missing entirely. And I don't know if that's down to Burnley's lack of creativity going forward. They don't necessarily have that flair player. Dwight McNeil looked as though he was going to be that outlet when we saw him break through last season, but he's not quite hit the ground running just yet. Chris Wood is another player that if you can aim the ball onto his head, 9 times out of 10, he'll put it into the goal. So it'd be interesting to see whether the 2 forwards for Burnley can get any deliveries come in. I think that might be why Goodmanson's come in, so they can play more direct and spread them wide. But if you go too far wide and you split up those 2 centre backs, then Kane's just going to find those through balls into Son, and he might end up with more than 7 assists so far this season.
You see the 2 goalkeepers there as well, Joe Hart and Bailey Peacock. Bailey Peacock Farrell, I should say, get his name correct first of all. They're having a little bit of chat and joke amongst themselves there as well. Gareth Bale was getting involved in that as well there. And it looks like the game's going to be kicking off in any second now. I think they're going to do the nil first of all before that.
Yeah.
Have a look here. Sean Dyche.
I wonder do you reckon Sean Dyche would be in any way concerned about his job, or do you feel as though he has tenure at Burnley for what he's done in the last 6 or 7 seasons?
They've had a couple of good seasons. Obviously, they finished up there. Was it the Europa League? Were they in the Europa League a few years back, or just on the verge of the Europa League? I think they were, weren't they?
I believe they finished 7th. Whether or not they actually qualified for the Europa League is not something I'm too sure
in the
of.
Europa League, sort of qualifying stages. I don't think they actually got out of qualifying, but yeah, the game's about to kick off now anyway, and it's with Burnley at the moment, and it's with the number 2, which of course is let's have a look. Loughton there is out with, I think that's Ashley Barnes just knocked that one on. It's very difficult to see the numbers actually. It's hopefully we won't be too far, in terms of getting the numbers and names wrong, but of course, we'll just try our best with that. It's all the way back with Burnley at the moment, just going forward. We'll get a little quick prediction as well. It's just gone out wide right there to Loughton and out of play for a throw into Spurs. But how do you see the game going? Sort of like a prediction from you.
Well, I'm gonna based on what I've seen from both these teams at the start of this season. I'm gonna predict a 3-1 Spurs win. I think there's a chance that Burnley might scare Tottenham in the early stages, but Tottenham should bounce back.
It's a chance here for Spurs.
And Ndombele was a great bit of skill.
Yeah, it was a good little turn. Nutmegged his man there and then was brought down. Yeah.
It's quite a sensible tackle for Westwood to make. He shouldn't really get booked for that this early on.
No, the referee's...
Michael Oliver...
it looks like he's going to, yeah. Yeah, it looks like it was actually Long. Kevin Long, I think, yeah. Or was it... Let's see.
No, I believe it was Westwood that came in late.
He nutmegged Kevin Long, yeah. And then he was brought down there. There is a booking as well for Josh Brownhill, number 8. The man in the book.
Oh, Brown. It's unfortunate to get booked there. It's just
balled in by John and cleared away by Burnley. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, I thought he's slightly unfortunate to get booked there. I thought he might have just been given a warning in these early stages. But to be on that worrying place now that you've got 89 minutes with knowing that every single tackle you make has got to be 100% spot on, and you can't get away with any of those tactical fouls where you might want to use them a bit later on in the game. I feel sorry for Josh Brownhill. That's going to make him a bit sheepish for the rest of this game.
Yeah, first minute as well, first foul. There's actually, just having a look here, the ball's out with Spurs at the moment, and it's with Ben Davies, the left back there. He's just trying to put it into the centre. I think it was Ndombele, I think that was. It's with, I think that's Alderweireld, I think now. It's going across to Eric Dyer and then all the way across to the right-hand side as well. Back with Eric Dyer at the moment. And then Alderweireld again, looking to go across to the left-hand side to Ben Davies. Ben Davies is going to go back to Alderweireld and across to, I think that's who was that? Let's just put the ball forward anyway. But it's gone in towards Kane. Kane's onside here. And Kane's going to beat his man. And is that a corner ball? Or is that... There's Alderweireld's ball, I think it was in the first place. Tried to play it long towards Kane. Kane, got there ahead of his man. And it looked like that was going to be a corner. But I think the ref's given a goal kick in the end.
Yeah, just maybe get a clearer view of it here. It just goes over the top of Tarkowski's head. And yeah, you can't really get a really clear idea as if anyone's got the touch on it. But no real protests from Kane. And Tarkowski's got to be on the ball today. Obviously, there were lots of talks of him not being at Burnley throughout the transfer window, with the likes of Leicester and West Ham looking at him. Both teams seem deterred by Burnley wanting 40 million for the English centre-half. But I think that he's going to have to keep an eye on the runs from both Kane and Son, because they just interchange as the ball comes across there.
It was unlucky. It was good actually from Hugo Lloris there to come out and parry that one, yeah. Got a strong fist to that.
A good bit of attacking possession there for Burnley. They're just going to have to keep sending these crosses in. And, when you've got wingers like Goodmanson, who's not only quite quick and direct, he can be strong and win those headers. You get those outlets when those crosses do just go a little bit too long.
That's right. It's with Højbjerg. He's going to go long there, trying to look for Harry Kane. and it's well cut out by Burnley there, and it's put back to the goalkeeper there, Nick Pope, who goes long. Of course, Nick Pope's made a few mistakes in recent weeks as well. There was the whole situation around the England camp with him and Jordan Pickford both making mistakes there in just before those England games. We had 3 games, Wales and Denmark, and who was the third game against? But it was just before those games anyway, where both goalkeepers had made a mistake there, Pickford and Nick Pope, just about a week or two before.
Yeah, and it really does make you feel sorry for Dean Henderson, who has not had a look in just yet at Manchester United, and he really did not put a foot wrong. And when you think about the season that he had at Sheffield United, to not be hardly featuring in this Premier League campaign is quite upsetting. And obviously, he's probably looking on at Sheffield United now, who replaced him with Aaron Ramsdale. And he's probably thinking, if I had gone on loan for another season, would they be in the position that they are in now? 5 games without a win.
Yeah, of course.
I would argue that based on form, because Henderson hasn't played, he is arguably the best England goalkeeper around at the moment, because he's just not been. He was consistent when he was playing, and he didn't make very many mistakes. And his clean sheet record is also really good. Pope had a fantastic clean sheet record towards the end of the last season. I'll let you take over as Mora's coming across.
Mora is going to try and get a ball in. That is deflected all the way through to Nick Pope, who's caught that one and landed on that one comfortably. But yeah, with Dean Henderson, I reckon he should be given an opportunity as well with England. I agree with that. Yeah.
However, I must say that David De Gea's form has improved dramatically since the start of this season. So maybe Dean Henderson in training is really proving to be quite the inspiration for David De Gea, because he's pulled off some incredible saves in the last few games. That PSG game, of course, there was I thought he was fantastic.
Just a little stat there about Nick Pope as well. He started in the last 43 and he's kept 16 clean sheets there. Which is not too bad for a goalkeeper of Burnley's kind of standards.
I believe he got at least 10 last season. He was just behind Ederson for most clean sheets.
Just a chance here for Spurs to try and get it down the line, and they just won a throw there as well. Was it? No, it's a Burnley ball. Charlie Taylor just wins the throw there.
Yeah, good work from Charlie Taylor. He's another one of these Burnley players who's played every single minute this season. He's still yet to score a goal for Burnley. Obviously, nowadays we expect so much more from our fullbacks. And even though he was managed to score a few goals for Leeds before he joined Burnley, he's not quite given too many opportunities to get us further forward as maybe he'd like. And the game's being played in a bit of a scrappy way at the moment. Burnley just trying to make sure that the Tottenham don't get too many passes together.
Yeah, that's the thing for them. Just trying to defend at the moment, aren't they, Burnley? It's just a throw in here for Spurs. I think is that Højbjerg that's taking the throw? Well, it's just about. Doherty. Sorry, yeah, Højbjerg's just he's going to throw to. He's looking to throw it to him, but I think it was Lucas Moura actually, the man who touched it back to him in the end, and then it's gone out for a Burnley ball, and they're going to try and look to go quick as well with this throw in. But it doesn't look like anything's going to materialise from that. Just going to be taking a bit more time over it again. And that's quite smart of Burnley, actually, as well, to kind of get a feel for the game. And, of course, Spurs, we were just saying beforehand, have scored the 3 last weekend, the 6 as well against United, the 3 in the week as well. So they're a 3-scoring team at the moment at Tottenham.
Yep. Well, they'd already had 2 at this stage last week. And they've not quite managed to break down the Burnley defence. But as you can see, if you're watching it on the TV, that Burnley have just got these 2 banks of 4 that are really hard to break down. As you just trying to get through to Ben Davies there, they just can't quite find a gap at the moment. Burnley are so well spread out, but they keep it congested.
It was good defended by Matt Lowen as well. Out of play.
Be interesting to see how Matt Loughton does. Eric Peters did have a late fitness test, but he was deemed not quite fit enough to play today. And
that's
Loughton,
right. Yeah.
his time at Aston Villa was probably remembered for an absolutely fantastic goal he scored against Stoke, probably about 5 years ago now.
I remember it was a very, very great goal. Really top finish.
An audacious volley.
Yeah.
But he's never really capitalised on some of the hype that was there for him. And I do think as much as Burnley are disrespected as the Premier League side that they are, they aren't necessarily. That's a good ball. Oh.
Just trying to find Ashley Barnes there. Was that? Yeah. Oh, no, it wasn't Barnes. It was Wood, wasn't it? He was trying to find there, yeah.
Look how deep Kane's coming in there to receive the ball.
That's right. But they're countering well here. Yeah. But they can do that. They can interchange between the pair of them. They've got Lucas Moura as well that can interchange with Son, and Son can go out wide and Moura can come in. You know, they've got a few options to do that.
Well, Kane is always he's one of those players that a lot of managers will be talking to their defenders about, and they'll be trying to get you to mark him. And Kane's job now is just to get deeper and drag one of those centre-backs out so that either Højbjerg or Ndombele or Sissoko can play a ball through to Son. But if Kane gets the ball himself and you allow him to turn, we've seen how brilliant his passing has been.
Just looking here as well, Ashley Barnes jumped up with Alderweireld there. A little bit of an arm to the face. Alderweireld is still down at the moment.
Nasty cut on his eye.
Nasty cut on his eye, yeah. Hopefully he'll be all right.
I don't think
but no malice, no.
No, nothing malicious from Barnes. Always had his eye on the ball. Never nice to see.
No, Michael Oliver there is talking to his VAR people though anyway, just to get another idea of it, another view on it. But yeah, there's nothing in that for me. It's Ashley Barnes doing what Ashley Barnes does. That's, you know, the kind of player that he is. He's a big physical striker.
Yeah, but he's going to take as much of the man with him as he's physically allowed to, and that's. I'd love to sit and watch a Burnley training session because I imagine that they come out with several bruises at the end of each session. Sure they will. Because you can't be soft in the week and turn it on the weekend. You have to be constantly driving that attitude. Mm-hmm. Well, I can't think of a word that's probably not allowed to be said on this stream that sums up Burnley's mentality.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're thinking. Yeah. The first word, the first word starts with S, and then the second word is housery.
Yes, and it's quite reminiscent to what Mourinho constantly would say to his players in the Spurs documentary. Yeah. You know, he's saying you're too nice. And it started off with, he was just telling him you need to be this, and then eventually he became full on. I was quite impressed by Amazon's ability not to censor all of the. Oh, you can just see there, it's a really nasty elbow above the eye.
Yeah, into his eye there. He's got just still being treated at the moment. He's going to have a bandage on for the rest of this game by the looks of it. Yeah.
Yeah, just looking at Tangango's, he's injured for Spurs at the moment.
Yeah, the options on the bench in terms of defenders are probably the only one that was really
Joe Rodon.
Yeah, is Rodon. Yeah. Sort of natural position
signed
anyway.
Him in the domestic window.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was for around £15 million.
Yeah, that was right. It was about 15 million. Yeah. Just dealing with this cut still. I think it looks like he's going to be all right though. Well, as all right as he can be by the looks of this. It's still, dealing with the bleeding and stuff as well.
He looks like he's content to carry on.
Yeah. Means we'll probably have a couple of minutes to stop his time at least. And this is, early on in the game yet. We've still got another, half an hour of this half. So it could be, by the time we get to half time, it could be about 4 or 5 minutes of stoppages there, because this has been about 2 minutes just here.
Yeah, we had I believe it was a Chelsea game in the end of last season during the pandemic where we went into the 52nd minute in the first half added time, which just was unprecedented to me. I've always seen half time, the first half stoppage time to be 2 minutes, 3 minutes max, and if you need to, you might add it on top of the end of the full time added time. But recently, the additional time is just seemingly getting ridiculous with VAR. And
what's that? There's that
looking for a free kick there.
I think he's looking for a free kick or a corner. I don't think he's getting either. No. I think that's actually going to go out for a Spurs goal kick. But even with the added time though and the VAR, that's how Newcastle got their late penalty against Spurs. What was it? About 4 weeks ago, I think it was 4 or 5 weeks ago. That did a very controversial penalty on that day that kind of gave them the share of the spoils there.
Yep, Spurs will be well aware that they need to be turning up to every single game like they have done against Manchester United and like they have done against Southampton. They can't treat games in the same way that they treated arguably the last 75 minutes against West Ham, because as soon as they went 3-0 up, they got comfortable and they allowed West Ham just to grow into the game. And even though they probably thought they were smooth sailing, they gave them too much time to grow into the game. And once they did finally grow into the game, it was too much to handle. And yes, they were fortunate with a 94th minute equaliser, but Spurs and Mourinho will be knowing exactly what he has to do to make sure that they're not only secure, but they are safe with the 3 points. And maybe if they can do that, they can actually challenge for the title this season, because I was in the belief that with Manchester City now aware of Van Dijk's injury, that Pep would be in a completely new aggression of style of management where it will be, right, we have no excuse now but to win the league. But their performance against West Ham this weekend showed that they can easily be broken down, and their defence is not the most secure. So we really do have the opportunity for one of the most exciting Premier League seasons since maybe Leicester's title winning season.
That's right, and of course Spurs were in the top three that season as well. Arguably could have won it. It could have gone to Spurs or Arsenal. Either of the London sides could have. They both had opportunities to win the title that season, and then obviously Leicester went on and surprised everybody.
Yeah, I mean, Arsenal were arguably out of the race with about 10 games left to go, but to be able to finish second against the Tottenham side, who were at one point 11 points clear of Arsenal, was quite an achievement, and really demonstrated just how poorly Tottenham finished that season. And the game against Chelsea being the big decider and being the match that made Leicester the champions, one of the greatest games I've ever watched at Stamford Bridge.
Yeah, really good game of football. Yeah.
Well, not necessarily for the quality of the football, but it was more like watching a gladiator battle.
Just with Spurs here a second, just Harry Kane onto Son there, back to Lucas Moura, and Ndombele is going to let this one roll to Ben Davies. He's going to win the corner over on this left-hand side. So it's an opportunity here for Spurs to get everyone into the box.
Yeah, great work from Harry Kane there, as he's just managed to pick the ball up, find Son. Son's touch isn't actually the best one. And then the ball eventually gets to Ben Davies, who tries to, I think maybe goes for a nutmeg to get it through to Ndombele, but Spurs will be looking to, it's not, a corner against Burnley is never really the most ideal set piece, because they've just got some real big hitters in there.
Son's taken it as well, and it's a little bit of head tennis before it's actually volleyed a clear in the end, sort of half clear actually. It's back with Spurs now, and it's all the way back to Toby Alderweireld there, the man with the headband, of course, out to all the way along the back line. And I think that was Eric Dyer and Toby Alderweireld exchanging passes as well, just in there. And Eric Dyer's just gone trying to find a long ball down there, but Burnley are defending it resolutely with his sort of couple of banks of four, as you said earlier, actually. And they've got an injury down there as well now. I don't know, was that Westwood down?
That is Westwood this time.
So there's a few.
I think that Burnley can be really happy with the way that they've started this game. I'm quite impressed with the bravery that they're showing. Just as they got out of that corner, they made it at least another 35 yards out of their own box, and they're not playing as deep as maybe they would do in previous games, but they're also not allowing Spurs to get in behind. So hopefully, maybe we need Burnley to actually break this deadlock to see Spurs turn it up another gear.
Yeah, it's still with Burnley just at the moment. They're trying to go into. Was he onside there, Ashley Barnes? Ashley Barnes has finished it. Is he onside? I think the flag might be up there. Yeah.
Yeah, he's just tracking back.
A great touch and a really well taken finish as well. Proper striker's finish. And he's ahead of the man there by he is just by enough. Anyway,
yeah, country mile by the looks of things.
Yeah. It's a great finish though, and no chance for Lloris, but let off there anyway.
Yeah, it was a good cross from Dwight McNeil. Just ball came to him from Charlie Taylor, and he went at it first time, just kind of hooked it. It's always quite aesthetically pleasing to watch, but it was just about, maybe missing the awareness of whereabouts his two forwards were, because they were both quite far offside. But Mourinho that will worry Mourinho.
Yeah, 100% it will. The last time these two met was the 1-1 draw back in March as well, which was actually the 100th meeting between the two sides. So this is into the second century, with the 101st meeting now between the sides. And actually, the last time before that was a 5-0 victory to Spurs as well at White Hart Lane, or the Tottenham Stadium. On that day, the game before, they were convincing winners that day, but the game just back in March was quite an even game, really. Actually, it's just with Tottenham, they're trying to get it through to Lucas Moura, but tied it up all right, and Nick Pope just smashes it straight to Son there, and he's fouled, is he? Oh wow, that was a little bit dodgy goalkeeping. Of course, that's happened a few times with the whole passing out from the back being brought across this English game now.
Yeah, this is the rustiness from Loughton, and this is what happens when you apply the pressure. Yeah, I don't think Pope wanted to take that touch, and I refuse to believe that he's purposely tried to hit that low. I think he's tried to get under that.
Yeah.
And then Loughton's just put his body in the way. That one's more of a bookable offence than what Josh Brownhill got in the first minute.
It looks like he's got away with it as well here. Yeah, it's Son with the free kick, is it? No, he's left it. Davis trying to whip it in towards Hojbjerg, but it's gone out of play. So yeah, that was dangerous though from Tottenham. A little bit of attacking intent there. And yeah, if you put the pressure on Burnley, they will make mistakes as well. Yes, they're a big sort of physical side, but they've got the mistakes in them.
Yeah, there was no real target for Davis there to aim for. I thought he just kind of put a loose ball in, and obviously he was hoping that it would be coming more towards head height. Maybe he was hoping for Eric Dyer at the back post, but it didn't really seem there was any real game plan for that set piece. And that does seem to be something I've noticed a lot in the Premier League so far. A lot of clubs might have a corner routine.
Always come in here, so it was Ashley Barnes, but it was well cleared by Lloris with a throw out there in the end, trying to get it forward to Ben Davis, just trying to play it up to Son. It's cut out there, and it's out of play. Yeah, back with what you were saying. Go on.
Yeah, I just think that a lot of teams these days don't bother to necessarily practice set pieces from 30, 40 yards out, and they always just seem to be a throw of the dice with a cross into the box. Whereas managers, I know they're not necessarily the most profound and well-regarded managers in the world, but managers like Tony Pulis and Sam Allardyce, and even
long ball there by Eric Dyer. Great ball, great touch from Lucas Moura. He's going to knock it on him, is he, to Hojbjerg. Going to try and play it through. It's gone out of play though, but good build-up play from Spurs again there, and that was a great first touch from Lucas Moura, and a great ball, long ball by Eric Dyer as well.
Yeah, and just look at the top of your screen. Once Doherty knows that Mora's made that touch. He's making that run, and he's one of the furthest players forward. That was what he was so good at when he was at Wolves. And I find it so interesting to see that he's playing in a back four, but still has that freedom to go further forward. Because usually, if the ball is still picked up in open play, you've got a big gap. And Alderweireld and arguably Dyer, they're not the quickest centre halves in the league. So it does. I imagine when Doherty goes forward, either Ndombele or Sissoko will have to drop back. It looks as though Barnes is offside here. Onside.
Onside, yeah. He's going to try and feed it to Brownhill, I think that was. It's with Loughton now. Anyway, he's going to whip it in, and it's well cleared out in the end. Son's going to try and get rid of it as well. He's going to do it that time. He's get rid of it at that time.
Not sure what Ndombele was thinking there.
No, yeah. But they're on the attack here. Sissoko and out to Lucas Moura and into the middle again as well. Hopefully he got a better touch this time on him. It's with Harry Kane as well. As you said earlier, dropping deep to receive the ball here, yeah. There's Son there as well. Son's going to try and put it to, I think that's Højbjerg, I think. Out to Ben Davies. Back to the former Southampton man again. And all the way along. Go on.
Just look at Spurs. Burnley with 10 bodies behind the ball, just making it really difficult for Spurs to find any gaps.
Yeah, and they're very well drilled. I think with Sean Dyche as well. That's the kind of manager he is. He'll drill it into you straight away. Yeah, no nonsense manager. Just with Spurs at the moment in their own half. Eric Dyer. It's going to look to go long. Wonder if we get another long ball again. No, not that time. To the bandaged Alderweireld. Going to go out wide right to the right back today, which is Doherty. Of course, he's come in for Aurier. And it's all the way back with the goalkeeper Hugo Lloris now, and it's all the way through with Eric Dyer in the centre there as well. Out to the left-hand side to Davis. So Burnley have done well so far with Son here as well. It's a very open game actually. I predicted it be quite a convincing victory for Spurs. I think that's I think it was 4-0. I think I said in terms of like my own predictions and things like that. But Burnley are shutting them out really well at the moment.
Yeah, they're just making it really, really hard for any of these runners to make a difference. It's going to require that real pinpoint bit of skill and passing to break through. Maybe Ndombele can use his dribbling ability to carve his way through. Obviously, Spurs do have a history of
Doherty's there just trying
goals
to
again.
Sorry, mate. Is that Doherty's there? Yeah, it's a goal kick, but there was a little bit of build up there. Doherty and Lucas Moura as well. But they was just trying to feed it to Moura. He tried to get it back to Doherty, and it went out of play for a goal kick to Burnley to be taken by the England man Nick Pope. Of course, as Harry Kane is exchanging words there with one of the Burnley players. Can't see which one it was actually. I think it might be is it Westwood or who is it?
That's Tarkowski, that is.
Tarkowski, yeah.
Yeah, Tottenham beat Burnley 5-0 last time out at home with Kane, Lucas and Son all scoring in the first half. But once again, Kane managed to get a goal in the 4th minute. And when you're in that situation...
There's a chance here for Burnley, and it's put across there by Ashley Barnes towards Woods. And it was actually offside in there. Yeah.
Yeah, and you just see that when Burnley get broken down early on and they have to then push into the game, it opens them up a lot more. But they'll be very happy with where they are at the moment. And if they can keep it 0-0 at half time, they'll be hoping that, come the second half, come the 70th minute when some Tottenham players get tired and achy, and maybe they lose some of their shape themselves, Burnley will be able to potentially capitalise.
And then, but if you look at the bench as well, the bench for Spurs is also strong. We touched on earlier with Vinicius as well, and even Gareth Bale as well to come on and maybe make an impact, a better impact than he made for them last weekend anyway.
Yeah, and once again, he started against LASK.
In midweek, yeah.
he really does look short of the pace from what I've seen of him so far. And I'm curious as to whether that's going to be a permanent thing or not.
It's a chance here for Son from Ben Davies. It's crowded out, sorry. And Son's got it back there. He's going to try and take it on, try and knock it back to, I think that's Ndombele, is it? Or Sissoko's on it now anyway from Højbjerg.
Yeah, that was really good work from Ashley Westwood. Just blocked off Son and then pushed him further and further back. And now Spurs are back into their own half.
Yeah,
it's interesting to see Højbjerg. He seems to drop into the left-back position whenever Ben Davies goes forward.
Yeah, it's good cover. Good defensive cover from him, yeah.
That's almost like a fluid back four, back three transition. I think that's something that Mourinho's definitely looking at when going forward. Once you've got past that halfway line, your fullbacks become wing-backs, and maybe Højbjerg drops it into like a left centre-back position.
Yeah,
I've been quite impressed with him since he's joined from Southampton. Yeah,
he's done well. He's he shored up that midfield and in the defensive area there, he's looked good. Yeah,
I don't think he was necessarily someone that a lot of people, or maybe even Tottenham fans, were looking at in the transfer window. But he seems to have added something, a bit more of a calmness in the midfield.
That's just Harry Kane's here now. He's going to lose the ball up. He's lost the ball there. It's crowded out by about 3 Burnley players there. As soon as Harry Kane gets the ball, he's got 3 or 4 Burnley players around him, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the time with Harry Kane, I always feel like he tries to do too much, but then he proves me wrong. And today, he just took a couple of touches too many. A bit of the Rooney problem. Rooney used to always do so much with his head down, and you could never really criticise him for too long because he would have his head down and then stick it into the top left, or he'd have his head down and put someone through on goal with his 60-yard pass. However, I always feel like if you can lift your head up for a split second and see where you want the ball to go, you might be a bit more accurate.
Oh, there's a good ball in there actually from Spurs. It's well cleared actually in the end by, I think there's a foul in there anyway. McNeil was just caught, but I think it was Højbjerg that caught him. Doherty that caught him, I think, in the end, yeah.
Yeah, it was a good little bit of play from McNeil, just alert to the situation, kept his back, made sure that he was going to be winning the ball first and gets himself the free kick. Burnley will take any opportunity they can get to kill off any sort of Tottenham momentum in this first half.
Just coming across the screen there, we've got your beloved West Ham going to Liverpool this coming weekend, and Newcastle, Everton, and of course the big game, Man U, Arsenal as well on Super Sunday. Some big games coming up this weekend as well, which we'll have commentaries of some of those. We haven't decided what ones yet, but we'll have a few in there.
Yeah, we've also got Leeds versus Leicester on Monday night. That should be a very exciting game. Brendan Rodgers has had to change his style with quite a few injuries that his club have had, but they managed to get a really good 3 points away at Arsenal, a club that they've never had any real luck against. So maybe a tide's turning for Leicester.
I think it was 47 years since they won at won at Arsenal, the Emirates, Highbury, etc. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll be hoping for more of the same in terms of record breaks, because West Ham have only beaten Liverpool once in 54 years of their visit to Anfield. That was a 3-0 win in 2015.
Just a chance here for Tottenham. Ben Davies there. He's going to throw it down the line. Yeah, and he's going to... Oh, that was a little bit of trickery there. Was it from...
Great work.
It was good. Oh, was that off his top of his... top of his leg there. Anyway, it looked like it was no danger. As Ashley Barnes is just shoved to the floor there by Sissoko. And a little bit of pushing and shoving there as Barnes wants to take this quick, and Sissoko is not having any of it. He's just trying to block the free kick from being taken quickly.
Yeah, nice little five-a-side tactic there from Soko. If you give away the free kick, you stand on top of the ball. Don't let them get away too quickly. Kill off their potential momentum. Yeah, I think it looks as though it was the Irish centre-half for Burnley, Kevin Long, got the block on there. He had both of his arms as tight to his side as he possibly could. And now Burnley have a free kick in a dangerous position.
Yeah, about 20, 25 yards just outside the box there. Lucas Moura, the man that made the foul. And it is a dangerous area here for the Clarets. And not too sure he's going to be over this one, whether it be a Brownhill or a McNeil or not too sure. But, it's a dangerous area, that's for sure, yeah.
Yeah, that's what you'd expect from Josh Brownhill, just running in, making those awkward runs. You would think, looking at the position, that this is ideal for Dwight McNeil. Maybe a bit more of a tougher angle to curl for Josh Brownhill.
There's a chance
it's going to be Josh Brownhill.
And he's going to fire it over the bars. Tried to get a little bit of dip on it, but it didn't dip, anywhere near enough, quick enough for him.
Yeah, I think that free kick was more opted for a left footer.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. It would have been McNeil would have been the more suitable candidate. Yeah. Just having a look here. Yeah, it was left footer for me. I think just to get that one around the wall there, and it's with Ben Davies at the moment for Tottenham. Højbjerg as well to Alderweireld. He goes across to the Matt Doherty there, the former Wolves man, who almost got it back. They were trying to do a 1-2 there, but I think it was Lucas Moura that gave it away in the end. And it's all the way back with Burnley's goalkeeper now, Nick Pope, who's going to whack this one long. Of course, there's a couple of banners there in regards to the fans and stuff as well. Burnley saying that we missed the fans and Claret Army, etc. Of course, there'd be a different proposition under Sean Dyche with the fans in attendance as well, as you kind of rightly mentioned earlier.
Yes, and you've got to feel sorry for a club like Burnley. Unfortunately for them, they are in one of the poorest parts of the UK, or in England specifically. And I imagine that Burnley Football Club and Premier League football week in, week out was one of the greatest joys for a small town, small working class town as well, with a working class football team that really they do epitomise the town of Burnley. It's not pretty, but they get the job done, and they earn their success over the years, even if it might not be the success that some of the top clubs regard themselves as needing with trophies and top 4 positions. Burnley can count themselves as 100% a confirmed, designated Premier League side, and I don't think anyone can deny that from them. No one's calling Burnley a yo-yo club.
No, not at all. Burnley, a very good side actually in terms of we said it earlier, the fact they've been in the Europa League qualifiers as well. Don't know whether they've actually, I can't remember whether they qualified. There's a chance here for Charlie Taylor to whip in that one, but it's cleared by Alderweireld and finishing 7th in that season here. There's a chance here, and it's fired straight at Lloris. I didn't dive in a little bit actually down to the right hand side there, but he done well to Spurs goalkeeper there, the French captain, the Spurs captain as well.
Yeah, it was really good work from Charlie Edwards down the left hand side, just sort of showing that Doherty might be great going forward, but he can be a little bit frail defensively, and he was just caught flat-footed. And if Edwards' cross was a little bit better, then maybe Woods could have been in there. And then he managed to flick out, and Westwood did really well to get the shot away, but nothing really too troubling for Lloris. But that's the only shot on target this game's had. And if you include the disallowed goal that Burnley have had, you could argue that Burnley have had the better chances of the game.
I think you're right as well. They've had more on target. More shots. In fact, I think they had one more shot, 3-2, if I remember right on the stats. And I think that was actually Tottenham's first shot on target. I think Burnley have had a shot on target as well. Tottenham haven't had a shot on target yet, but they had the disallowed goal, as you said. Yeah, sorry. I'll get there in a minute.
Like it may have been 2 hands on the back there from Charlie Edwards on Lucas Moura, but the ref just let it go.
Just going to say, excuse me if I keep making mistakes today. I've had a very long day, lots happening.
It's all right. No one's going to judge you here.
No, it's all good. But no, it's a chance here for Burnley. And it's with, is that McNeil? Is that? Yeah, I think it is. Just going to try and whip this one in.
Good ball.
to Goodmanson towards the two strikers there. Wood was the man furthest, and it went past the pair of them in the end and out of play for that goal kick to Tottenham. And Hugo Lloris is going to take that one in a minute. Just coming up to the 40-minute mark. We haven't actually had too many other stoppages apart from that one where Alderweireld went down and had a couple of minutes treatment there. So far it will probably only be maybe 2, maybe 3 minutes of stoppage time. It won't be 7 or 8 as we were saying earlier.
Yeah, I do wonder how big of a difference. I know Burnley have kept a clean sheet so far in this game, but I was just looking at who they have unavailable, and I wonder how big of a difference Ben Mee's injury has been to Burnley's start of the season. Obviously, Tarkowski was not necessarily favoured for the very beginning of the season with the doubts about whether he would stay at the club, and then they had to bring in the new centre half. Well, not new, but Kevin Long's obviously had to come in and make his name for himself in the back four. But Ben Mee was such a stalwart in that Burnley defence and always the first name on the team sheet in many cases. And I wonder how Burnley have managed to adapt without him. And
well, they're not just losing the star. They're not just losing the star man. They're losing their captain as well, aren't they? So
yeah, and maybe Ashley Westwood's just not had the captaincy.
Harry Kane is just lost the ball there on the edge of the box. But yeah, with Westwood, go on.
Yeah, Westwood is a good midfielder, but he doesn't really demonstrate many leadership abilities on the pitch from what I've seen so far. And Ben Mee was one of the loudest players on the pitch. He's one of those players that if you watch Sky Sports or BT without the fan noise, you'll be most likely hearing a commentary of him throughout a lot of the game. And it's always something that I appreciate as a football fan. I think that you've got to keep communicating with your players throughout the entire game, because some of them don't have the concentration levels to take what's been told from the training ground. And they need to be reminded whilst they're still playing.
It's not just that; it's the confidence as well. Sometimes getting into match play, and even you said about Westwood there, but even Ashley Barnes as well. You just briefly mentioned him as another candidate in terms of a leader that Burnley have. Yeah,
it looks as though it's going to be a corner.
Yeah, it's a throw in just on the corner flag, I think. Well, let's have a look. I know Harry Kane's getting in there. Is it? Yeah, it might be a corner then, actually. Yeah, they're all getting into the box. I know, is it a long throw, is it? Or anyway, it's gone out of play anyway, or easy for Nick Pope. But I don't know whether that was a long throw trying to be, like a corner, but either way, it was sort of dealt with well.
Yeah, the Sky cameras didn't get the clearest view of it, did they?
No.
Must be slight blocked field of vision in the gantry.
Mm-hmm. That's well played there by Loughton. Easy ball back to the goalkeeper there. He's going to go along, Nick Pope. And just a couple of minutes before half-time. And it's been a decent enough game. It's goalless, of course, still as well for anyone that's joining us late. But, the best chance, or best chances, including the disallowed goal, have all fell to Burnley, really, haven't they?
Yeah, and I think that Burnley have just looked the better side throughout the game. They haven't been as open defensively. They do need to make sure that they're not going to make any silly mistakes when they are spread out and open like this, because if they commit too many bodies forward, it really doesn't take Spurs. Well, they don't need many players with the speed that they do have to get through on goal. But I do really appreciate the fact that Burnley, they're not just waiting for Tottenham to bring on the pressure. They're asking them to
another direct long ball from Eric Dyer as well. He's trying to get them, long from the back there as well. He's already had that one that found Lucas Moura earlier on in the game when he had that very, lovely touch. And he's trying to go long every chance he can. That was a great ball there to Goodmanson. He's going to have a shot, is he? Yeah. Saved comfortably, though, by Hugo Lloris.
Yeah, really good work from Goodmanson. I don't know what Ben Davies is doing, showing him off to his left. It's his strongest foot. Luckily, he obviously had confidence in Lloris to handle the effort Højbjerg and Son were covering, but he still manages to get the shot away. And the way that Burnley just managed to spread the play from Charlie Edwards across to Goodmanson was really easy. And it just shows that Tottenham they're not refusing to set up.
That was a great, he's won the ball really well Burnley. Well. No, I was just going to say, he's won the ball really well. There's an opportunity here for Burnley. And it's been crowded out of there. No, it's Goodmanson again. He's going to fire one. It's gone over the bar though, but that was great pressing and to win the ball back from Matt Doherty over there on the right side as well.
Yeah, I think that was a bit wasteful from Burnley. It's really good work from, I believe, Josh Brownhill to win the ball, and that's a good pass. Barnes that's not the greatest pass for Westwood to receive, and then when it eventually comes back to Goodmanson, he just has no option but to put a bit of a poor effort on goal. But we're just seeing Mourinho there, and I honestly think that he's not going to be very happy with what he's seen so far this half. The fact that they've not been able to break through this defence.
There's a chance here for Spurs Son, and it's well defended actually by Burnley in the end, and Nick Pope keeps it in play as well. I'm going to call that one as well. We've got 3 minutes of stoppage time. That was one of the numbers I mentioned, so I'm going to give myself that.
Well, I mean, yeah, if you mention 6 or 7 numbers, you're always going to be right eventually.
Fair shout.
But every time Spurs have tried to get in behind, whether they're trying to run through the defence or play a couple of passes, Burnley have just been there on the blocks, and everything has ricocheted and cannoned in the right way for Burnley so far, and they've 100% been the better side.
And they've had the ball in the back
of the net. Been a bit wasteful.
Yeah, they've had the ball in the back of the net as well. That was disallowed by via that man there as well, Ashley Barnes, who put the ball in the back of the net, but he was flagged for offside, and rightly so as well. So it's just with Spurs at the moment. Eric Dyer's got it here into the second of these 3 minutes of stoppage time. Eric Dyer's going to play it back to Højbjerg, that is, I think, and Dombele there as well. And it's now with Lucas Moura. He's going to look to feed Harry Kane. Harry Kane's going to have a shot, but it's well blocked. It's all the way back with Eric Dyer at the moment, though. He goes with a number.
You can see Tarkowski just begging his players to push up a little bit further. So and I think that once Kane had that little bit of space, he thought, well, I've not had any other luck trying to play the ball through, so I might as well have a shot. But once again, just blocked by Burnley, really, really making things awkward for Tottenham.
That's right. They're playing really well so far, Burnley, in this first half here. Even there, getting a foot in there is really well. I think that was Kevin Long possibly getting the foot in there and getting it behind, as they're showing Sean Dyche vocal as ever.
Yeah, the question will be for the second half is just whether Burnley can keep up with the way they've been playing. Obviously, they've had the least amount of possession, so I can imagine that they're going to have their stamina levels might be a little bit lower than Spurs is at the moment. And Sean Dyche is not always too keen on making constant substitutions throughout games. So it will be interesting to see whether he feels as though his squad can hold on.
There's the halftime whistle as well, 5 seconds early, in fact, 6 seconds early. But, it was, and then actually Spurs were in a little bit of a dangerous position in terms of being in the final third there, as Mourinho comes out with his notebook, ticking some stuff off his notebook there, off his notepad.
Yeah, I imagine that a lot of his notepad will probably just have a massive question mark on it, because it looks as though Tottenham have tried a couple of methods to break down Burnley's defence, and none of them have worked so far. I feel as though one of the most telling things about the game so far is that everything Tottenham have tried has been blocked or dispossessed by Burnley, and then when Burnley have gone forward, they've shown Tottenham how to actually split up a back four. So maybe Mourinho will just tell them to do what Burnley have been doing to them.
I think that's probably a fair shout as well. Sean Dyche is the happier of the managers for me, 100%. He's very pleased with the way that those Burnley boys have come out, and they're defending it very resolutely with the banks of four, creating opportunities as well. You got any qualms with that? Do you reckon it's Sean Dyche 100% for you as well?
Yeah, I mean, if anything, he could be a little bit peeved that they haven't got themselves a goal to show for their good efforts. I think that one of the most frequent things we're seeing in football is that you don't need to have the possession to be winning these games. And I think that with the 36% possession that Burnley have had, they've made really, really good use of it. But maybe a couple of their efforts, maybe if they'd taken one less touch or just opened up and had maybe some more runners come in, it's a lot easier for Burnley to get through into that box than it has been for Tottenham so far. With Tottenham, you feel as though once they get into that box, they've got the players in their side to punish and finish with one chance only. But Burnley, they're not going to get many more opportunities. And I think if they probably be hoping that they could have been maybe 1-0 up in that half.
Do you think there's anything much in the fact that there's only been one change for Burnley and the 4 for Tottenham as well? Kind of breaks up that consistency a little bit.
Yeah, I think that Tottenham are going to have to figure out that problem pretty early on for the rest of the season, because what we're seeing is a club that isn't the largest squad in the world, but if they can keep fit, they have enough players to chop and change for the Europa League games as well as the Premier League. And we've seen from Mourinho, we know a bit more about his personality now from the documentary. And we know that he doesn't see the Europa League as a lesser competition. He sees it as something that needs to be won. Yes, he probably wishes that he didn't have to go through the full qualification qualms, but he is in it now, and he's going to keep going until the very end. So whether or not the fatigue starts becoming a bit more obvious for Spurs after a while, and once they can get the likes of Vinicius and you could argue Bale back up and running again, they'll have more than 11 players that are going to be guaranteed names on the starting lineup. But whether or not he can keep them all fit is another question, because I could argue that Tottenham would have been in a lot better position last season had they not had so many injuries to the likes of Kane and Son. And if they can keep those injuries level by splitting out the squad to have a nice variety and not letting anyone get too fatigued when it turns out you have to play 4 games a week or 4 games in 8 days, it's not easy for the players. And it's one of those things that people don't realise, that you shouldn't play 90 minutes of football and then you shouldn't do it again for another 4 or 5 days with the mileage they're running, the kilometres and the stop-start, what they are putting into their bodies. Eddie Izzard is someone who ran 44 marathons in 44 days, but he's not somebody, that's not something that is necessarily good for you. And I imagine that he probably didn't run a marathon for another couple of years after that. But you're asking players to run marathons 3 times a week with the effort that they put in training and the conditioning and the tackles as well that their body put. Running a marathon is hard enough, but then imagine running a marathon where you've got people, trying to injure you and take you out. It's not an easy game. And the fact that these players do put their bodies through so much is, I think, incredibly impressive. And there's nothing I hate more than hearing a person with an opinion that they're professional footballers, they should just get on with it. The effort that they're putting in to play 90 minutes more than once a week is astounding, in my opinion.
3 times a week sometimes. Yeah, absolutely. Another sort of side hobby of mine is actually interviewing ex-Stevenage FC players, because that's where I'm from. I'm from down here in Stevenage. And I've interviewed 44 ex-Stevenage players, and they've said that in regards to not just physically, but even mentally as well, the aspects that has playing 2 or 3 games a week can really sort of mess with their heads. Yeah,
it's very, very difficult. We've all been there where, you go to the gym and you have a good session where you try a bit harder than maybe you usually would, but then the very next day your body is in bits. And we've all probably played Sunday League where you spend the whole day as stiff as a board later on. You just because these players are a bit more pampered and they're well fed and they're well paid, doesn't mean that they don't still feel it the very next morning. They might, when you think about Cristiano Ronaldo, you don't think of someone looking stiff as they walk down the stairs in the morning, but
no.
I assure you it does happen. And I feel as though too many fans think that these players have a lot more in the tank than they're actually giving, when I don't actually believe that's necessarily the case. Sometimes it is the case when the manager is not performing to a level that they would like. So therefore, they might, not want to put the effort in as a protest to the board. But when it comes to teams with the right mentality and the ambition to win games, to ask them to play 4 in 8 days is criminal, really, and it's more money grabbing from the higher ups.
Yeah, they were just showing there. I've just seen a replay of the Ashley Barnes incidents there that caused the injury to Toby Alderweireld as well. And it's, I think Gary Neville was basically trying to get at the fact he's led with his arm or led with his elbow there. Not for me. I think it's
no. I've got them on mute, which is something I'd recommend most people doing, to be honest, whether or not they're watching RS Media. But I think that they're very good pundits when they talk about what football's going on, like the football after the game. But when you've got a game like this that's 0-0 and it's Spurs Burnley, where they know that not many people will be watching it, they have little moments like that where they try and imply that Ashley Barnes was doing something more cynical than I think 90% of the population would think that he actually was. Andy Carroll was another footballer that would always be accused of being cynical with the way that he went up for the ball. But it's impossible to jump to win a header with your arms completely by your side. And if you do that, you're going to flop like a salmon and not really win anything. And if you are going to win anything, you're not going to be able to get yourself back up to, get onto the second ball or whatever. So you have to jump. It's like, you're trying to pull yourself out of the water. Your elbows are always going to be involved because you're trying to extend your whole of your body. And
that's why I think
you can watch a replay as clear as day where Barnes is looking up at the ball like this and he comes in like that. It's completely natural.
Yeah, that's why I think the new handball rule is a little bit stupid as well. It's they've kind of altered it a little bit now. They're trying to sort it out so it's a little bit more in how it used to be and a little bit better than it was. But I think that whole handball rule, if it hits your hand, it hits your hand. Whether it's it shouldn't be if it hits us, below a certain area or above a certain area. It just winds me up, mate. It does.
No, it's very frustrating, and I don't particularly care too much about rules changing. I'm more fussed about the transparency between the VAR, the referees, and the audiences watching at home. Because I don't know if you've seen, but in Australia, you can hear when a VAR incident is happening, you can hear the people inside the Australian version of Stockley Park talking to the referee, saying, "Okay, mate, you've given a yellow card for this, but I think if you go and have a look at the monitor, we'll see that it's serious foul play." And he's like, "Okay, you want me to have a look?" Yes. Does that, checks the monitor. Okay, we're just showing you the first clip from the side view. Yep, that's dangerous foul play. Okay, where's the camera? Red card. It took 25 seconds. He initially gave a yellow card. They told him to take a look at it. He gave a red card. Right decision was made, and the game carries on. But the problem with the problem in Britain, well, in England with the FA and the referees is that it's I don't think this is controversial to say. It's basically a cult where these people will just always be supporting each other. So if a referee makes a decision, VAR are not inclined to tell that referee that he was wrong because they are pally and they're friends with that referee and they don't want to make him feel like he's not as good as his job and that they need the VAR to correct him and to call him out on it. So instead of actually saying, "Look, mate, go check on the monitor and change your decision," they're going, well, I trust you, so we'll just stick with what you've originally decided. And you've got millions of people watching at home going, why didn't you just look at the monitor? Why didn't you make a decision? And I think that the obvious answer is that no one is telling them to go look at the monitor because they're all too friendly with each other, and they all believe that the decisions that they make at that moment on the pitch is final and how it should be. And they don't know the definition of clear and obvious in that respect. I believe the Arsenal goal that was disallowed yesterday
against Leicester with Lacazette. Yeah.
The linesman flagged first. So initially, when a ball's played through, the linesman will keep his flag down and wait until VAR tells him to lift the flag or not. But the linesman himself made a conscious decision to lift his flag and to say, Xhaka's in an offside position, impeding with play. Now, the VAR had a check with it, and they went, yep, that decision that the linesman made is good enough for us. There we go. That's no goal. But had the linesman kept his flag down and VAR had looked at it without any cloud of judgment coming from another referee, they might have said, well, actually, he's not in the goalkeeper's view. He's slightly in the view of Justin Thomas, but Justin Thomas, if he works hard enough, can still get there. It's a really good cross and a good header from Lacazette.
Yeah.
It's probably a goal. But because the linesman made his decision himself, the other referees in Stockley Park, they're not going to want to overthrow his decision because they're all friends.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I get that as a sort of cult aspect to it. That Arsenal goal yesterday with Lacazette, I think they did come to the right conclusion. And that's me saying that as an Arsenal fan. I think they got it right. And, we won't touch on that game because we're doing Spurs and Burnley. We won't touch too much on that. But the whole aspect of VAR, that's one they did get right for me. Whereas the game.
So you believe Xhaka was impeding the goalkeeper or impeding Thomas or Justin? Sorry.
The goalie, I thought he was in the line of the goalkeeper's vision.
For me personally, I didn't think the goalkeeper had. I thought he had view of the ball and that he couldn't get to the ball anyway because of where he was aimed. And that's where I for me, the goalkeeper, the player has to be in direct line of sight. Whereas it looked more as though from where he was standing, it was more of a peripheral view. I thought the most likely impediment was Justin on the far post because he couldn't quite get to the end of it. But still, I think if the linesman doesn't lift that flag, VAR aren't sharp enough to necessarily call that as a full-on offside decision because he didn't touch the ball, he moves out the way. But instead, they've got to protect their friends and they don't want to constantly call out their other friends in making bad decisions when ideally that's what VAR was for in the first place.
I think it's different in sort of regards to what it is as well, whether it's an offside or the handball like it was Spurs Newcastle the 97th minute. I think it's different depending on that aspect as well. Because that was a travesty the way that was given to Newcastle, in my opinion. Even as an Arsenal fan, that was Spurs didn't deserve that.
No, and this is the other thing about the unorganisation and the sort of the lack of organisation for VAR is that when one decision gets made by a group of people, the next game is an entirely new set of referees and people. So the decision makers change. As soon as one referee maybe gets used to the system of VAR, they're then told, right, you're not actually back in here for another 2 weeks. So everything they learn, they have to then do it all over again. And then maybe the next week out, they're on the pitch. And then the next week, they're a fourth official. And then eventually they're back in at Stockley Park. And they've forgotten everything that they were supposed to be doing in the first place. And also, how do we even know that they are... I've worked in Stockley Park for a bit. And you see the referees sort of float around the outside. Just we're kicking back off to the game. It's Tottenham kicking off now with Doherty bringing the ball into Lucas Moura. But you see the referees sort of chill in their small groups of 3 or 4, having a cup of tea before they go in. And part of you does wonder how much of how fully focused are they on the game, or do they just wait until a stoppage has happened so that they can check on the replays? Are they entirely focused on making sure that all the decisions are going to be 100% correct, or do they just trust the referee and wait until the referee asks VAR to get involved? Tottenham trying to start the game a bit quicker there with a couple of quick passes between Ndombele and Son, but Kane was not able to get through.
Yeah, it was good defending again by Burnley there as well, with the back line there, and no changes at the break either. As you know, Sean Dyche is very happy, as I would be as well with the way that they've played and set up here, Burnley. And of course, Spurs are just going to try and break them down really. And I think a point for Burnley is a great result. Of course, it'd be only their second point of the season if that's the case as well.
Yeah, Burnley will take what they can get at this stage, and with the Premier League season as the way it is, many people will be hoping that it continues to be a season where anyone can beat anyone. And if Burnley do get more than just a point today, then you will be questioning just who on earth is actually going to be the front runner in the league. You just see in there Ndombele trying to feed through Son, and if Westwood or Long or Tarkowski can't get on the end of one of those through balls, it could be curtains for Burnley, and the floodgates could open.
Just looking here at some of the previous results that these two sides have had throughout the season so far as well. Burnley getting that point against West Brom, and the other time that they got a positive result was against Sheffield United in the League Cup as well, with Vidra scoring that day, and then they went out and won on penalties by 5-4 as well. So that's the only other time they got a positive result so far this season. But no, there's not really one out-and-out player that scored most of their goals either. I think Barnes is yet to score, and Wood's only got one, I think, or possibly two. With Spurs, both Son and Kane are both sort of free scoring at the moment. The LASK game, the West Ham game, the Spurs game as well. Even going back as far as the Southampton game when Son got 4, and Kane was got a goal as well and was very heavily involved with a lot of assists in that one too.
Yep, Spurs unbeaten since since the first game of the season against Everton. They've been on a terrific run, and Jose Mourinho is unbeaten in all 9 games he's played against Burnley. So he'll be hoping that he can make it 10. As Chris Wood just loses the ball there to Doherty. Doherty plays the ball quickly into Moura, and Moura does really well to find Kane. Kane plays it back out into Sjoberg. Davis is now running on the outside. McNeil coming into press.
Just having a look here, you can still see Burnley are still very much set up with that, back 4, then the 4 in front, and the 2 up front there as well. It is, the old 4-4-2. You don't really see that very much these days, but that's what Burnley are, sort of prominent and renowned for playing.
No, and it's a formation that in the and I hate saying this, just it seems disrespectful for Burnley, but in the more elite side of the game, actually there's a loose ball there. It's Westwood. He's going for a shot on goal, and it's just steering wide of the post. It's actually Josh Brownhill with the shot on his right foot.
Good play as well. He won the ball there. I think it was given away sloppily by Tottenham by Ben Davies there, and Brownhill picks it up here about 20 yards away from goal, I think it was, and has a low shot there that just goes wide of Hugo Lloris's goal. But no, it's good play by Burnley there. They started brightly in the first 4 minutes of this half to kind of carry on the vein that they had in the first half as well.
Yeah, they just made a couple of misplaced passes, Tottenham, so far, and Burnley sort of rushed it a little bit there. Didn't quite capitalise on the opportunity. We're just seeing Bale warming up in the corner. You've just got to hope that Bale's getting fitter with every game that he plays. Obviously, he had such a long break, and there's only so much energy that you use on the golf course.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're away from a match squad or sitting on the bench, yeah.
What do you think, as an Arsenal fan? What do you think that Bale can provide for Tottenham?
The first time around that he was there, he was excellent. He was one of their standout players, of course, alongside Kane as well. Actually, he was part of that team going back to Stevenage briefly as well. that Stevenage got the FA Cup replay against Spurs, drew 0-0 down here at the Lamex Stadium, and then took Spurs to the replay there, went 1-0 up, in fact, as well, after 3 minutes by Joel Byram's penalty that day, and Gareth Bale just changed the game on its head. Yeah, so that's the kind of thing that he can do. He, when he turns up and turns on his A game, he's practically unstoppable. And yes, that's Stevenage that were League One at the time, but it was a Stevenage side that were full of confidence. I think we knocked out Reading, I think, from the round before as well. Or it might even have been Newcastle as well. We've been, given Newcastle beating them in the FA Cup as well. So it's it was a Stevenage side that were decent. And Gareth Bale just changed that game on its head. I think he got a couple of assists, and I think he won a penalty as well. Yeah.
Yeah, we've certainly seen even at Real Madrid when he wasn't at his best throughout the years. I mean, obviously he was there for 7 years, but there were times where he was in and out of the squad prior to it becoming a massive hoopla in the media. But he started on the bench against Atletico Madrid in the Champions League final, and then came on and scored the winning goal. People were unsure whether he was going to start against Liverpool in the Champions League final, but I believe an injury to Isco meant that he did, and he ended up scoring that absolutely fantastic overhead kick. So he just had this magical ability to pull out the stops when needed, although he just doesn't quite look as though he's fully match fit just yet. And I can't wait to see him when he fully puts his burners on. Ben Davies just went down off a challenge from Goodmanson, but seems to have shaken it off. And
Harry Kane just found his man Tarkowski there. Yeah, Tarkowski there. And Harry Kane was fouled after, I think, as well. But it was Kane that made the first foul there, pushing his man to the floor.
Yeah, little forearm to the back. Kane will be hoping that he can open up some space a little bit more throughout this game.
Yeah, that's right. They're not really. They haven't really had a lot of opportunities. We've had 53 minutes now, and Spurs are still yet to have a shot on target. So that's they've got the creativity there of Son, who's been very quiet. Kane, who's been quiet as well. Lucas Moura, of course, who's been quiet. So maybe another 7 or 8 minutes, and they might start looking at the bench and Vinicius Junior and maybe even Gareth Bale to come on as well, and try and.
Chris Wood's been flagged offside there. Looked as though he could be through and on goal, but it seems like it was the correct decision made by the linesman. Just sort of a header over the top from Brownhill. Tried to find Wood. Wood is the only attacking player who's actually scored for Burnley so far this season in the 4-2 loss against Leicester. One of the other goal scorers was Jimmy Dunn, a 23-year-old. And if you look at the goal that he scored against Leicester, it's quite a conundrum, that goal. You can't tell whether it came off his head or the back of his foot. There's no good camera angle for Jimmy Dunn's goal, and he's probably hoping that his debut goal in the Premier League looked a bit more, looked a little bit more convincing.
Looks like Spurs are getting a sub ready as well. Giovanni Lo Celso is getting himself ready to come on.
Yeah, another good player. He's Argentinian with, I believe, some Italian in his bloodline as well. I believe he registers for the Argentinian national team, but may have been raised in Italy. He's a fantastic player, signed from Real Betis on loan with a view to a permanent. He's similarly poised to the Tottenham side, as is Dani Ceballos.
To Arsenal,
Obviously, Ceballos plays in that number 8 kind of role, and Lo Celso has had to drop a little bit deeper in previous games. But it'll be interesting to see whether he opts for a midfielder or one of his attacking options. Barnes has the ball on the outside of the box. It's well blocked by Alderweireld, and Burnley have a corner.
It's a good opportunity. Yeah, a good opportunity for Burnley to get us into the box towards Wood and even Barnes as well. See, if they can test Hugo Lloris now. Yeah.
That is Burnley's bread and butter. A great diagonal ball from Loughton, headed down by Wood, and then Barnes. It will come for Barnes. He's still waiting for his first Premier League goal this season, but I'm more than confident that he will get one.
Oh, absolutely. If he can finish him the way he did with that disallowed goal in the first half, 100% sooner rather than later.
No, it was the ball was behind Tarkowski, just run a little bit far forward. He's got a bit of a wry smile on his face. Just made his run a little bit too early. Could have been, I think it was Harry Kane. No, it was Eric Dyer making the defensive duty with a nice grip on his collar there.
Yeah, tugging his collar there a bit. Yeah, I did see that. It looks like the
Eric Lamella's come on.
Oh, is it Lamella that's come on? Sorry, for Mora.
You've got your nationalities right.
Yeah. I think the Celso is on the bench as well.
Yes, he is.
Yeah. So Lamella.
Yeah, Lamella. There's Bale putting his boots on.
Mm-hmm. But Eric Lamella, of course, is another player there over on. He'll move across to the left-hand side there. I think I didn't see who that was that actually came off. Who was the man?
It was Lucas who came off for Lamella, and it'll be interesting to see.
Straight swap.
It should be interesting to see just how Lamella's implemented into this game.
Mm-hmm.
If we go back 5 or 6 years ago when Bale was signed and Lamella was one of the, a good chunk of the Bale money was spent on him.
Yeah.
And obviously 30 million nowadays doesn't seem like much of an expenditure, but would we rate Lamella's time at Tottenham to be successful? Obviously, it took him a couple of years to really get going.
Yeah, that's my point I was going to make. It took him a little while to get going, but when he got going, he kind of started to get in a few more performances in there. The latter end, coming up towards the last few seasons, he's looked a lot better and a lot brighter than he did at the start when he was brought in. But yeah, I think it's it might have been acclimatized into the new country, or I don't know what it will be, but it does take a lot of these players a couple of years to settle in sometimes, or at least a year anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible how in the space of 7 years, 30 million can get you. 30 million can't even get you a relegated centre back in Nathan Ake. You need 40 million to afford one of those.
That was better. Better analogy than what I was going to use. I was going to say, couldn't even get you Ozil's little fingernail, but yeah.
Yeah, well, 30 million can only just get you a striker that couldn't get promoted into the Premier League with Ollie Watkins joining Aston Villa for 28 million. It's just an incredible amount of money that gets spent around these days. And I just remember how everyone wouldn't stop talking about Lamella's price tag. But you could probably still get 30 million for Lamella now. He's a little bit old, but
you'll get 30 million for him. Yeah, I'm sure you would. Maybe
he's 28 years old.
Maybe slightly below, but not too much below. Maybe still 25. Yeah, 25, 30 million.
Yeah. 28 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I've got it here actually. Transfer Market has him valued as £14.4 million. So usually, the Man City way of doing things is look up a player's transfer market value and double it. That's what they did for Ruben Diaz and Nathan Ake.
Yes, yeah, of course.
And you can't knock Manchester City. It's a tactic that gets you the players that you want.
Just
game's just being played. Sorry, for those of you who want to know about this game, it's just being played back and forth at the moment. No one really manages to break it into each other's 18-yard box. The ball did get touched down by Lamella, but he wasn't too sure of it. And Ndombele wanted to take on, but Ben Davies came in a little bit late there and he's given away a foul. Yeah, Lamella, that's probably just a lack of sharpness, having just come onto the pitch. He could have maybe brought that control a little bit closer to him and had an opportunity. But I'd love to see the touch map for Spurs inside the box, because they really haven't done much.
No, hopefully they will show that at some point. We touched on it earlier in regards to the documentary as well with Jose Mourinho and the Tottenham documentary there, the All or Nothing. It gives you a completely different insight into a club like Tottenham, doesn't it, as well? And I quite enjoy it, even as an Arsenal fan. I enjoy watching it and getting the manager's point of view and his perspective and everything that they do sort of behind the scenes as well on the training ground. Yeah, I quite enjoy that.
That was brilliant work there from Josh Brownhill to shimmy off both Sjoberg and I believe it was Sissoko. Ball comes to Westwood now, and he
great block,
hits it
really
straight
block.
into Davis.
It was a brilliant block on the edge of the box.
Finds Loughton under some heavy pressure from Son, and he opts to go back to Nick Pope. I don't think Nick Pope was expecting to receive the ball. He looked to be rushing out of his goal ever so slightly. They've spread it across now to Taylor. It's a poor pass back into the top possession.
Easy defending out of Veralde as well there. It was good play by him actually. The man with the bandage on. It's not let that injury to him at all.
Yeah, we're just seeing there. Burnley have had 3 touches inside the opposition's box, where Tottenham have just had the 1, and I don't think Mourinho will be very happy with that so far. But if you just look at your screen now, the line that Burnley have with those 3 centre backs, and then Charlie Taylor comes in, and it becomes like a 3-5. Really difficult for any of the players to want to go across. But Son's got inside now, and he tries to play it across to Kane, but with no luck. And you can see it's a great pass from Doherty. It looks as though he's just trying to play it straight across the goal. And I think Tarkowski's deflection must have come back off Son. And I think we're taking a goal kick. But Burnley are...
I think that's right.
The first half possession for Burnley was about 63% in Tottenham's favour, and they're doing better now. They've got more hold of the game.
56 now. It's it's a lot more sort of even actually, and Burnley are they're looking all right. They're looking in this game 100%. They're and they've got options on the bench as well. Jay Rodriguez, of course, one of the men that they could bring on. Who else have they got on the bench that's sort of more of a game changer as well?
Matthias Vidra.
Matthias Vidra as well, Brady as well, Robbie Brady, of course, Yeah,
I'd like to see Robbie Brady bring back some of the form that he had back in the day. Obviously, he's 28 years old still. You should be expecting him maybe in his prime, but did manage to get a start earlier on in the season. He just doesn't quite have the cutting edge that we're used to seeing.
Good play there by Burnley again. Really good simple passing and then a good clearance up the field there. There's an offside in there. There was no. They're going to play on, I think.
Yeah, Son just carrying the ball deep. But if you just look there, you've got Kane in the very top corner, but he doesn't really offer too much. Lamella's coming into the middle, almost sort of opting in that number 10 role. They're definitely playing like a narrow diamond at the moment, Spurs, with Kane, with Lamella just dropping off and Kane and Son almost like 2 forwards. That's a good forward run by Dyer, but he's ended up having to play it backwards, and it just gets congested. And then Dyer's in again.
It was a good defending again.
One of the better chances.
Yeah. It was one of their better movements there, Tottenham, to get it into Eric Dyer there. And it was well put behind in the end as well. Corner ball over here now for Tottenham. And of course, they've got options on the bench still as well. We touched on the Celso a little bit ago, Vinicius as well, and Gareth Bale. And I don't know whether Sean Dyche is really going to want to throw the kitchen sink at it just yet. I know we'll give it a little while, but in terms of other options on the bench, they've got the young lad Benson as well, the former Arsenal Academy player.
That's good work from Burnley so far. They played the advantage well. Yeah, they do have some options on the bench, Burnley. Do you know much about Benson? I couldn't get too much information on the young lad. Obviously, I knew he was at Arsenal.
Yeah, same. I didn't really know an awful lot myself. I couldn't find out a lot about him either. he's not one of the ones that really rung a bell, actually, no.
No, I mean, he got himself on the bench in the Southampton and the Leicester game and the Newcastle game, but was yet to make an appearance. He got a 22-minute cameo against Manchester City, but it's easy to bring yourself onto the bench when you're already being beaten 3-0.
Yeah, League Cup 3-0 down, yeah.
He had 11 games for Grimsby in the 2019-2020 season as Lamela brings the ball down into the box. Kane hesitates ever so slightly. Might try and shoot now, Kane. Oh, he's
defending again. Burnley
too hard.
Every time Burnley, I was just going to say, every time that Kane gets the ball there, Burnley are able to close him down really easily. And actually, just going back to Benson, actually, the name rings a bell. I think I might have seen him play against Stevenage, in fact, in the League Two campaign. The name does ring a bell, but I don't know too much about him as a player, really, no.
Only one appearance for Arsenal's under-23s, and sporadic appearances from then on with Burnley's under-23s, and then a small loan out to Grimsby where he scored 2 goals, and then just one game this season for the under-23s. So he's obviously impressed just enough to make himself an option in the attacking side of things for Burnley. But whether or not he is an important part of Sean Dyche's plans, we will see. But he's always an option to bring on.
Sometimes that's
good to brings on the ball.
Yeah, I was just going to say, sometimes that's good to have some younger, sort of more hungry legs as well, more sort of determined legs. Yeah.
Oh, that was an opportunity for Chris Wood, but Alderweireld made it difficult for him.
Yeah, really well. From the big Belgian.
There's Scheuberg. Finds Davis. Yeah, you've got 3 Burnley players tracking the run of Son there.
I was just going to say, of course, I was going to say in regards to Alderweireld as well, it was him and Jan Vertonghen, the big partnership that Spurs really have, wasn't it? And then they let Vertonghen go. Even in the documentary, they mentioned that a couple of times in regards to Vertonghen's contract. He didn't want to sign a new contract in the end, and he wanted to go and play some more first-team football elsewhere, play on a regular weekly basis.
Yeah, you've got to respect a player that's willing to probably turn down a bigger contract. Essentially, with him at the age that he was, they're both, I believe, 31 years old now. Alderweireld, and Vertonghen. I think Vertonghen's ever so slightly older than Alderweireld, or younger. It's one or the other by a year or something. That's a good ball into the box. Then Ndombele tries to flick it across, but there was no one really there, and Pope was alert and alive to the situation. Yeah, I think that Vertonghen, it's really commendable when a player's willing to leave for arguably a worse contract, but just to play more first-team football. It just shows someone who cares about the sport that they're playing, and that all they want to do is keep playing it until their body tells them that they can't.
Got a couple of stats as well. Burnley got a win versus Millwall, win the cup. Thanks for that one, Russ. And Josh Benson featured for Grimsby back in January of 2020 against Stevenage, and he came on after 4 minutes because Drake Hesenthaler got injured. So, yeah, that's probably where the name was familiar from. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw there, but Vinicius was having a quick word with Jose Mourinho. So he obviously impressed in the weekend. In the week against LASK. Oh, that's fantastic work from Brownhill. Woods. Oh, he has. Woods caused a lot of trouble there. Oh, and it looks as though a handball's been called.
Yeah, off his hand. Yeah.
Oh, that's very unfortunate.
I think it's soft. I want to see that again. I don't know. It goes back to what we were saying at half time about what part of the body actually classes as handball, whether it's above a certain area or whatever. It was too quickly there to actually see a proper replay.
It's a very, very quick decision that was made.
Yeah. I would have liked to see a proper replay of that one in a little bit more slower detail, but yeah.
Here's Chris Wood again now. Oh, he was not alert to the run of Ndombele, but he's managed to nick it back off him. And they might have just won himself a corner. Good work from Chris Wood. I always thought he would be a very useful signing for Burnley when they got him from Leeds. He was
just showing this.
it
does come off his hands.
It's definitely part of the law nowadays. But if he was running like this, would he have not been given a foul? You have no choice but to have a little bit of elbow sticking out when you do run.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
Yeah, of course you do. Still got 20 minutes, still goalless as well between Burnley and Tottenham here. Just a corner here for Burnley.
That's deep in its all, just over the line.
Off the line, wasn't it?
I believe it was Kane, actually.
Kane on the line, right on the goal line, yeah.
Oh, that Burnley will be kicking themselves how they didn't get that in. It was a really firm header. I think it was... Oh, Kane's not happy about something. It's Tarkovsky who gets on the end of it.
Yeah, it was Kane's there. Right on the line. Of course they've got the whistle as well. So is it the whistle that says about it as well?
It's the vibrating watch. When the ball crosses the line, Michael Oliver's watch should vibrate, except for when Aston Villa are playing Sheffield United.
That's it. That was a very crazy situation, yeah. But no, that was good play by Harry Kane. I don't know what Harry Kane was complaining about beforehand, but just having a look at the attempts here, it's all Burnley. They've had 10 attempts to Spurs' 3, and they've had the best chances of the game with that one there off the line as well as Ashley Barnes' disallowed goal in the first half, and the other shot that they had on target as well, which I think was can't remember whether it was Ashley Barnes or Brownhill possibly, but they've had a few opportunities there of the home side anyway, and yeah, Mourinho's there. He doesn't really know what to do at the moment in terms of trying to get Spurs.
Chris Wood. Oh,
yeah, Mourinho
did the cleanest shot away.
No, I was just going to say Mourinho is getting a sub on here with is that Vinicius Junior? I think it is. Yeah,
Carlos Vinicius was one of the players of the season last year. I believe it was for Sporting Lisbon or Benfica. That's a great ball in. Oh, how is Ben Davies not got on the end of that?
Well, it's great defending as well, though, from the Burnley man out the back post.
Yeah, he's just covering his runner the whole time. I think it must be Loughton who's got there just at the end.
Yeah, that one, yeah.
That's great work from Goodmanson. Usually an attacking player.
Yeah, he's come back to cover his right back. Yeah.
That's the mentality that Sean Dyche has drilled into his team. You attack as a team and you defend as a team. That's very nearly a dangerous challenge from Lamela. He's got away with one because no contact in the end. Long ball looking for the runner, Chris Wood. Barnes brings it down. Can't quite get it out of Doherty without committing a foul. Doherty has some space to run into.
I wonder if we will see Gareth Bale today. I know Vinicius there is their second sub for Spurs. I wonder if Bale will get the last sort of 10 minutes or so.
Well, here's Son now through on goal. He doesn't need many opportunities, but once again, brilliant work. I think this time it's Long.
Yeah,
Kevin Long doing some really good, solid work.
It's whether it's, if it's not one, it's the other. Kevin Long and James Tarkowski have both been excellent today for Burnley at the back.
Yeah, I know that I doubt many people will be watching this game, and I doubt many people will think much of it. But it's been a much better 0-0 than Man United versus Chelsea. You'll have to agree.
Yeah. Oh, I do agree, considering I was commentating on that game as well. I would like a goal, though, because I've been nice to have a goal.
You've got a bit of a reputation coming along here now.
I know, for a 0-0 draw. Well, we've only had the one so far on the channel, and that was on the Saturday game. Yeah, this Man U game just the weekend.
Lamela picks the ball up now. He's got Son to his right. He chooses to use him. Son with his right foot, blocked by Tarkowski. Now, Tarkowski, for a player who has, he arguably either wanted to leave or was linked with a move away, that could have unsettled him. He's been phenomenal today. To make up the pace there, well, that's the replay for Kevin Long's tackle.
Yeah, excellent.
Tarkowski didn't quite have the pace, and just a fantastic block.
That's what I was just saying. Though, if it's not one, it's the other. Kevin Long and James Tarkowski. There, they've both been excellent today for Burnley, both been very solid and contenders for early man of the matches as well.
Oh, and then Tottenham have scored. It's Heung-min Son.
You know what that is, don't you? I said about the defenders for Burnley being up there for early contenders of man of the match. So that's a commentator's curse in its prime.
Oh, what has happened there? So Son's just unmarked, made his way to the back post. It's headed in by. It's another assist by Harry Kane. What a knock on from Harry Kane that is.
Yeah, Son there as well. Lovely play by Harry Kane. Lovely header from Son. And the man on the line there was, I think it was Dwight McNeil, which wasn't able to jump up in time and get it off the line. But yeah, I haven't got to deal with another 0-0. So I'm pleased with this. I'm pleased with that, whether it is Spurs scoring or not.
I don't think people realise just how incredible of a header that was from Heung-min Son. He placed that. He placed that into the very top of the net. Superb. And I don't know if Kane was necessarily aiming for Son or whether he just wanted to head it back towards the goal. But if that is something that they've planned, that is just a superb goal.
I think with their go on.
Torn up all of Burnley's hard work.
Yeah, I think with Harry Kane and Heung-min Son there as well, I think the way that they've combined this season, that could very much be a planned thing there between the two of them. And that doesn't surprise me that, it's one to the other, because it has been, so frequently throughout the start of this season that's been the case.
Sean Dyche will be seething that he's conceded from a set piece. Doesn't matter how brilliantly worked it may have been from Tottenham. There will be steam coming out of his ears as he whips the ball in looking for Chris Wood, but it's headed away by Alderweireld. Dwight McNeil leaves it for Charlie Edwards, who's going to send in another cross. Goodmanson's arriving at the back post, but
well left, yeah.
Davis left it through. And now we'll see Giovanni Lo Celso come onto the pitch, this time for Tanguy Ndombele.
Yeah, I thought he would have got on at some point. So this is the right sub this time that I thought would have been the one about, 17, 18 minutes ago. So Ndombele is coming off here. And
so we might not be seeing any Gareth Bale today.
No, we're not going to. This is the third and final sub for Spurs, so we won't be seeing Bale today.
Did I miss Vinicius? Did Vinicius come on for Harry Kane?
No, it wasn't for Kane. Vinicius is on. I'm sure he was on.
I saw him warming up, but I'm not sure whether he's actually come on.
I know he was stripped. He was stripped. Let's have a little look for you, mate.
No, he's not yet come on.
Oh, so they could still
obviously still having words. They could still bring on Bale, but the Sky Sports did show Vinicius having words with Mourinho.
Yeah, there was there.
Substitutions are all over the place today, Arnie.
I know, mate.
And a bit wasteful there from Loughton. This is where the lack of fans make a huge difference, because it's all a massive mind game now. Can you keep your mentality strong? Oh, that's a poor tackle.
Advantage play, but he might go back to the book there as well and give a yellow to the Burnley man. Matt Loudon, I think.
That one looked a bit more cynical for Kevin Long.
Kevin Long, yeah.
Only the second booking of the game.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't look as bad when you watch it like that. It's just decided to leave a little bit behind for Son. I can only imagine how frustrated they must be. They've defended so well, and actually, they haven't defended in terms of last ditch blocks and doing everything. Oh, that's just a fantastic header.
I just want to see who it was that was meant to be marking him though, because he has let his man go there as well, and Son's just free at the back post to head it in. Yeah,
Steve. From what I saw before the corner was even taken, that's not cleared very well. Doherty brings it back in, headed back in by the Celso, easily caught by. Yeah, when I watched the replay back of the corner, Son was just left completely unmarked. Looks as though Dyche was going for something more of a zonal pattern.
But it didn't work.
Sean Dyche and defending set pieces is something that he regards himself as his best ability. So in a game where he's had the better chances and they've been quite ruthless at times.
Yeah.
But if Burnley come out with nothing, it's really going to not look good for them.
A chance. Second one there by Kevin Long, the Irishman on Harry Kane. Not looking at in any detail here, just giving a free kick. But
that could be his last warning now in quick succession.
I think that's right. I think you're probably right. Yeah. But now Burnley, of course, are going to be ruining that chance where Harry Kane was headed it off the line. Of course, I'm sure they'll be ruining that chance, and with the goal as well that even Ashley Barnes put in as well. If he'd kind of waited a little bit and timed his run a little bit better, then that could have been Burnley a couple of goals up, and you wouldn't have argued that they would have deserved it actually on the balance of play as well.
Well, this is why Harry Kane deserves as much credit as possible, and this is coming from a West Ham fan and an Arsenal supporter.
Arsenal, yeah.
But Kane deserves as much credit as possible because he's the reason why Spurs are still in this game with that block off the line, and then just to run as far back as he did and stick his head in the right position to send it over to Son. It just shows how he's on incredible form. They showed prior to the game of how many assists that Harry Kane had in his 5 or 6 Premier League seasons, and the most that he'd had in 30 games was 7 assists, and he's already on 8 assists so far this season.
Yeah, I did notice that. Yeah, and I was actually that just a minute ago as well, or 5-10 minutes ago, in regards to Kane and Son as a partnership. They're second in the partnership list as well, with combining for goals. Yeah,
lovely outside of the foot pass from Lo Celso finds his Argentinian counterpart Lamela, but Lamela's volley was a little bit tame, and now Pope tries to send it long to Wood. Can't quite bring it under control. Good work from Dyer. He's not someone who I've really thought too highly of in his career, but Jose Mourinho rates him. So if I'm going to have to be I have to accept the fact that Mourinho knows football better than I do. So if Mourinho is a good footballer, there must be.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, sorry, mate, that Mourinho, of course, has won trophies wherever he's been as well. And even with Eric Dyer, of course, he's had that whole incident last season with the fan as well, with his brother and his family. And he's come in, and on the back of that is, his head is in the right place, which is good for Eric Dyer. Yes, he lost his head on that occasion for a brief spell, but, it's good that Mourinho is giving him this opportunity to go out on the pitch and shine again. Yeah. A little bit like back to Arsenal as well.
Yep, and I think that the documentary just showed a lot of people how emotional he can be. And there was the arguments with him and Dele Alli, and then him making sure that he had a word with Mourinho from day one that he wanted to be playing. And I think that him and Mourinho probably have a very good connection, being able to speak Portuguese with each other.
Yeah.
We've seen Jay Rodriguez try and get his first touch on the ball, and I think he's won himself a corner.
Yeah, he has. He's just come on as well. He just won the corner there. Yeah, still got.
Jay Rodriguez is one of those players that I think he'll be hoping that he would be getting more than just 6 minutes in a game against Tottenham, but there aren't necessarily many years left in his career. Yeah, that's well caught by Lloris. And he can sit on that for about a minute and a half now.
Yeah, comfortably claimed by the Frenchman there. Yeah, just take his time over that one. It's easy catch at the second opportunity.
Yeah, Burnley are going to feel really hard done by, and you can already see on the look of Sean Dyche's face.
Yeah,
he will probably have nothing but good things to say about his team at the end of this game, but it's just pure frustration on his part.
There's a corner ball there for Burnley as well. So they're putting a little bit of pressure on in the closing stages. So, of course, if they get the delivery right as well, they've got the likes of Barnes and Rodriguez in there and Chris Wood as well. All guys that are capable of getting ahead on that and, getting the equaliser here.
Tarkovsky's just running into the back post as well, but once again, caught by Lloris. And now Tottenham look to counter-attack. It looks like it's Emil Højbjerg. Hesitates for a second, finds Lamela, who can turn into plenty of space. Oh, and Lamela opts
to go
for
backwards.
An acute back pass to Doherty. Not many runners going in for Spurs, but they'll probably be a bit more concerned of Burnley's counter-attacking threat because they have looked dangerous. And they've shown a quick turn of pace, Burnley, not something you'd expect from them.
No, that's absolutely with Burnley there. They've got these attacking options as well, as we were saying. The likes of Barnes, and I wonder if we'll see Vidra before the end. I'm sure we probably will as well. We might even bring him on as their next sub, maybe.
Yeah, I think that Tottenham fans will be happy with the fact that they can now be, I believe, sitting in 5th of the table.
Yeah, we're climbing above London rivals Arsenal as well. And up to 5th will be, Spurs will be up to 5th.
Burnley can't quite get themselves out of the bottom 3, but they do still have a game in hand. And I do think that they have just a little bit more to offer than the likes of Fulham, West Brom, and there's not many clubs that I have a certainty will get relegated this season. So there could be one that starts to surprise us, and maybe Burnley will be in that category. I think a lot of people had Brighton tied down as Son comes in one-on-one against Long. Long is quite strong to the matter, pushing him backwards, and that's been, if it was still 0-0, we'd say that's been the case for the whole game.
Yeah, for sure.
And the fact that this set piece has separated the two sides, Mourinho will be over the moon. He'll take this as a big win for Jose FC.
Oh, it's a big victory there. They've gone and defended really well as well. It's kind of very similar to the Leicester performance yesterday. Perfect away performance, really. Yeah.
Yeah, there's not many. The low block is considered quite a negative style of play, but that's bad. You've got that one spot on with Vidra coming on with a couple of minutes left to play. But the low block is.
I was just going to say I deserve to get one substitution right today.
The low block is is usually considered a very negative style of play, and it's the way that Leicester like to defend, and Burnley have shown a lot of it today. But if you can get those blocks in, and you can consistently stop your team from getting forward, you should consistently keep clean sheets. And we did say in the first half that it might take a little bit of brilliance to break this deadlock, and in the end, it's come from the two that you'd expect to.
Kane and Son, that was a bit of a meaty challenge there as well, but they're playing advantage anyway. They're just getting on with it here, yeah.
But if the way that things are going, unless Spurs receive any injuries to Kane or Son, they should both overtake. They should both overtake the likes of Drogba. The stat of the pairing, I believe it was Drogba and Anelka, is it?
Anelka at Chelsea, yeah.
They should overtake that in due course, and I do genuinely think they're one of the best attacking duos in the league.
I think one of them would be Golden Boot for me. Probably Harry Kane. I know Calvert-Lewin's up there at the moment, but even Son as well has got himself a fair share of goals. So they could easily overtake him in the Golden Boot reckoning as well through the rest of this season.
Is there potentially a red card check here?
It could well be, actually. Yeah, they are VAR and looking at something. as they're doing the stoppage time. I know we've got 4 minutes coming up, but I want to see what that was, or who that was, in fact, on Brownhill there. Just bear with us a minute. We might have a few seconds while we try and figure out what VAR are saying. Mourinho looks a bit baffled, sorry, as baffled as we do. But if that was a VAR check or anything, it's all been dealt with. So, yeah.
I mean, they've not shown, we are having to watch this via Sky. So they've not shown, tons of replays of the incident, which is something that usually you'd see.
Yeah.
I mean, by God, I think I've watched Pickford snap Van Dijk's knee 1,000 times already.
Horrible tackle, isn't it? As well, yeah.
It is a horrible tackle. Although I am kind of on the same side as let's not go on about it as much as
that makes sense.
Every other injury in the world.
We'll touch on there from Son towards Kane, trying to kind of get it back to the England man then and kind of return the favour, but it was well cut out there by Burnley in the end. We're into stoppage.
Yeah, Charlie Taylor, just the first poor bit of play that he's done today.
Yeah, so
giving the ball away.
We're into stoppage time there, the first minute of that. Any sort of standout players? You can come to me as well afterwards for either side, really, Burnley and Tottenham as well.
Oh, that's almost brought down. Well, I think that the whole Burnley side can leave this game with their head held high. Is that Oliver Skip coming on? I
didn't even know if he was on the bench, if that is him. I know the Son's coming on.
Number 14.
Is that Joe Roden? Yeah, Joe Roden.
Joe Roden. Tottenham just securing up the back. And I believe that's a first appearance for Joe Roden in a Tottenham shirt.
Yeah, this is his Spurs debut. Yep, absolutely right.
Yeah. He couldn't play last week because he was signed on deadline day and they were still sorting out the papers. But
yeah,
he'll be prepared for the next. Well, he's got to be prepared for the next minute and a half because I'm expecting a few direct balls played in, but trying a bit too much there as the ball comes off the back of the referee, and because Spurs can't counter attack, they win a free kick.
Hit the referee there, and they're having a bit of the Burnley players are having a little bit of a moan up with him, yeah. But yeah, in terms of sort of standout players, I'll give you a couple of names in the Burnley side. The back two the centre back partnership, James Tarkowski and Kevin Long have both played well today.
Both been superb.
Yeah,
don't deserve to not have any points out of their defensive performance today.
And for Tottenham as well, the likes of Eric Dyer, even the Musa Sissoko as well. There's a couple of players in there, a couple of names in there that have actually performed really well for Spurs. You have to look at Harry Kane as well, being the match winner at both ends with the assist and also the one off the line. You've kind of got to look at him as well. But yeah, some of those names in there, even Son as well, he's performed well. And, I think the goal is kind of deserved of his performance. Yeah.
Yeah, I think because of the end up of the end result, I think Kane is probably my man of the match, although Wood could bring it under control here. And again, I know that they're desperate at this stage, Burnley, but maybe just try and find an actual opportunity instead of just swinging a leg at it.
Yeah. Very desperate. They've only got, I think, about 2-3 seconds.
And Brownhill.
Probably it, isn't it? The ball's back to that's it, I think. Almost.
I know Kane in previous weeks has had 2 goals and 2 assists, and he's on a great run at the moment. But I do genuinely think he was the man of the match in today's game.
I think
the ball off the line.
Well. Yeah.
Got the assist for Son's goal with all the hard work in the world. And just a real rock when he holds up that ball. He did everything that Spurs needed him to do today. I don't think Spurs were particularly great off the park, but these are the games that they need to win when they're not playing great. And if they can continue to find results in games where they're not necessarily the better team, they could go a long, long way this season.
I think you're absolutely right. They're up to 5th as well now, as you were saying. Sean Dyser has got a couple of choice words with the referee by the looks of it. Not too sure what that's about. But it's a great performance from Spurs there, going to a very tricky place in Burnley and getting the 3 points. And the England captain there, Harry Kane, playing a crucial part in that. And yeah, I agree. The fact he should be man of the match as well.
Burnley will be hoping that they can take what they've used today, and hopefully it will go a bit better against Chelsea on next week. They then face Brighton away, Crystal Palace at home, and then an away trip to Manchester City. So Burnley will really need to try and look to get something in their next 3 games. Obviously, Chelsea are a side who are not completely guaranteed to get 3 points against a side like Burnley.
No,
I think that Burnley will be looking to make things very difficult for them.
Yeah. No, they struggled against
We're on the same wavelength there.
They struggled against West Brom the other week as well, did Chelsea. As you see that Spurs are up to 5th now, just the 2 points off of the league leaders, Everton, and Liverpool in 2nd, and Villa as well, and Leicester just above them. They've overtaken
Spurs with the highest goal difference in the league as well.
Yeah, that's very good, actually, yeah. And Burnley down there with Sheffield United and Fulham in the relegation zone at the moment, all on the solitary point.
Yeah, whether or not that's where Burnley will be come the end of the season, I highly doubt it. I think that they've got enough quality in their side. The one thing I would say about Burnley is, and they've got, luckily for them, only about 6 weeks or 7 weeks until we have another transfer window. But they could really do with someone with a little bit more creativity in that position. Do you really need to have 2 ball-winning strikers? Maybe you could play with a number 10 that could bring the wide players in a bit more, but then that would completely change Sean Dyche's style of management. But we could even see like a little and a large combination coming on for Burnley.
Do you think they missed I was just going to say, do you think they missed the trick at all in some of the free transfers that were let go, even by Bournemouth last season? Maybe like the likes of Ryan Fraser, somebody like that, to come into this Burnley side.
Yeah, I mean, the Ryan Fraser is a good example. I think that one of the problems why they didn't go in for him is probably because I believe he had some bizarre wage demands, and that's something that Newcastle are more likely to put up with to appease their fans, where Burnley will sort of stick with someone who's not going to ask for a ridiculously huge contract.
Yeah.
And I think that Dwight McNeil is so not isolated in terms of alone, but he's can't really play in any other position other than that left mid position.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think Fraser would have been a great opportunity. But, just somebody like Josh King to provide that pace as well as the direct option for Burnley could have been someone that they used, because there's just a couple of times where if Chris Wood came short and knocked the header on, a quicker player running in behind could cause a lot more trouble for other teams. But instead, you've got 2 sort of, they're mobile, but they are quite big and lumpy.
Mm-hmm.
And it just makes things a little bit tricky for the wingers to get involved, because sometimes the touch is just not quite good enough to bring it down. And sometimes as well, there's always a massive gap between the midfield and the 2 forwards, so they have to do a lot of the work on their own. And if Josh Brownhill or McNeil doesn't get involved,
especially today as well. Because they were very defensively minded. Actually, they had the back 4 and also the sort of 4 ahead of them as well, who would kind of drop in and drop back a little bit when needed. They weren't really the kind of players that were actually giving too much to the front line, to the likes of Barnes and Wood and Rodriguez and even Vidra when he came on as well.
Yeah, and I wish Burnley all the best, but I think Spurs will know that they were poor today.
Yeah, for sure.
They will know that they survived off the brilliance of Harry Kane and Son, I think that they'll have to turn it up. Let's have a quick butcher's hook at who Spurs have next in the league.
They've got a few. I know the North London derby's in about 7 or 8 games time in mid-December, but before that they've got a few winnable games in there in the next few. Yeah.
Well, next up for Spurs is Antwerp in the Europa League, and then they face a Brighton at home on the 1st of November, followed by a trip to Ludogorets, and then West Brom, and then on the 21st of November, a cracking tie against Manchester City is on the horizon. So Spurs will be hoping that they can keep their unbeaten run continuing all the way up until they face Manchester City, and by then they could be in a better position.
Yeah, it could be top of the table for all we know. Yeah.
If they get a result against Manchester City, then they will have another game against Ludogorets, and then Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, followed by Arsenal. A trilogy of Premier League derbies for Tottenham as they go to, as they have Chelsea and then Arsenal and then Crystal Palace in the league back to back.
Yeah, all in the space of 2-3 weeks. Yeah.
Some difficult fixtures for Spurs, but if they can get them through them, then I think that everyone will be considering them potential title challengers, or at least they will put themselves in a good position to bottle.
as Spurs tend to do, as we all say.
Well, you've got to get there before you can bottle it, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a good performance from them today, though. A good away victory there at Burnley, and I think I'm with you that they will be challenging. Whether they're good enough to win the title this season, it's anyone's guess. But they've got the ability there. They've got the likes of Kane, Son, Moura, Gareth Bale, Bergwijn, Lo Celso, Lamela as well. Lots of attacking threat there to that side, and kind of complemented well with the back line as well. So they'll be there or thereabouts with Tottenham this season. And Burnley, it will be a struggle for them. I'm kind of a little bit different to you. I do think they might even be one of the sides to drop down into the Championship this season. But, of course, football's a funny old game, and nobody predicted Villa to smash Liverpool the other week, did they? So, who are we?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, we said that there could be a surprise within the mix. Obviously, a lot of people have Fulham and West Brom touted to go down, but then that only leaves you with, once you eliminate those two, that leaves you with Brighton, West Brom, Newcastle. We were in a relegation battle last year, so you have to include West Ham in there. And obviously, it's only 5 games for Burnley. If they win the next game, then they're level with everyone else. They go up to 17th, and they drop West Brom back in there. Things look a little bit better for them, but they just need to get a couple of W's on their form list, and then suddenly everything doesn't look as bad.
No, absolutely. And you've got to get the likes of Wood and Barnes firing again as well. And Wood's only got the 1 goal, and Barnes is yet to score, as we mentioned earlier. So when those guys hit the ground running a little bit and grab a couple of goals as well, then it's a whole different proposition really for Burnley, I think, as well.
Yeah, and you can never really judge the Premier League table until about 10 or so games in, get a good feel for how it's going to shape out. And but I do think that with the games that we've seen, there was lots of talk at the beginning of the season about Chelsea because of the money they spent, about Manchester City because they lost the title, Manchester United just because they are Manchester United, unfortunately. But from what I have seen, it's not any of those teams that have been showing a real philosophy and style that they're consistently playing to week in, week out. And Tottenham, Leicester, Still Liverpool, because Liverpool they've been consistently playing the same style for about 3.5 seasons now, and it's been superb to watch.
It includes a couple of other teams in there as well in that mix, the likes of Everton, Villa, even Leeds to a degree as well.
Yeah, the one thing that you can see when looking at the top six is that they're all and Southampton. Let's not exclude them, because they're all playing a very certain style that has been implemented over either a couple of seasons. Like Bielsa's done it for almost, this is his third season now. Hasenhüttl seemingly transformed the club ever since they lost 9-0 to Leicester.
Yeah,
Tottenham
which was finally a year ago yesterday, that as well, wasn't it? That big defeat. Yeah.
Leicester have proven that they've still been good despite the injuries that they've had on their side, and now that they've got Vardy back, they should be dangerous. Villa are taking no prisoners, despite the fact that they were the whipping boys that only just managed to stay up. Now they're really dynamic and attacking teams in ways that you wouldn't expect, and I'm really impressed with what Dean Smith has done to that side. He's transformed them.
Jack Grealish as well, and we mentioned earlier Ollie Watkins.
Barkley.
Matty Cash as well, another name on there.
Yeah, they're all fantastic signings. Whether or not that they, the key in Premier League is consistency, and whether or not they can keep it up or keep fitness. These smaller squads, if an injury to someone like Grealish or Barkley or Watkins happens, then things get very, very difficult. Everton, for me, they are exciting. I don't know just how consistent they'll be. You don't know whether you're going to get Ancelotti as the Chelsea manager or Ancelotti as just sort of the casual Napoli manager they finished 11th last year. And I believe Napoli under Ancelotti had his season where they finished 9th or 10th, and that was due to players' relationship with the owners and not necessarily Ancelotti's fault. And then they had a big switch up of management. So whether or not Ancelotti still has that killer instinct to win league titles is another question. But the signings they have made are very promising. My only criticism of Everton is that someone has put some bit too much aggression and adrenaline in their tea before the games, because they've been committing some really, really awful challenges.
Yeah, Richarlison, the main one the other week. Yeah. Richarlison, Pickford, a couple of others as well.
Yeah, and a few dangerous challenges. I know that a lot of people were saying that Digne should not have been sent off, but just the game against Southampton, there was just a few dangerous challenges thrown around from Everton, and I don't know if it's something that Ancelotti wants to implement, just to let them know you're here, or some kind of mentality aspect of the game. But you've got to be careful, because we don't want to be seeing more and more players have to take 6 to 9 months out. There's rumours that Van Dijk's knee is so severe that it could effectively end his playing career. Not in terms of he'll never play again, but he'll never be able to play at the ability that he once did.
Yeah. No, he won't be the same player that got him third in the Ballon d'Or. Yeah.
And it's a terrible shame. I don't think by any shadow of a doubt that Pickford went, right, I'm gonna kick his knee in. I think that he went for the ball, he fouled. He probably feels awful. I don't think any footballer feels. You'd have to have a real heartless person to not feel bad about potentially ending someone's career. I know there was a lot of beef towards Ryan Shawcross and his reaction to Aaron Ramsey.
Yeah, of course.
But
just having a look here at back to this game, the game here, James Tarkowski's chance with Harry Kane there. He was sure
Carragher is singing Kane's praises.
I think he will be as well. He was great today in an attacking and a defending sense, and the top performance from him. So we'll leave it there. Actually, in fact, it's ended Burnley 0 at Spurs 1. Heung-min Son with a goal. And it's a victory for Spurs. They're up to 5th, and Burnley are still in the relegation zone on just that 1 point, with a couple of winnable fixtures to come up after a tricky game in the next one, which was Chelsea, wasn't it, the weekend?
Yes, I believe so. Or was it Brighton?
I think it was Chelsea. I think
sure.
Brighton just after, I think, yeah.
Yes, but Spurs will have to keep travelling up and down the continent for European games. So whether that will have much of a toll on them as things go on, and I can't help but think that the European travel will mean that there's always a chance for 1 or 2 players to contract coronavirus, and then you miss 2 weeks. That's essentially 3 games in Tottenham's schedule, which is really could be really risky.
You miss 3 weeks unless you're 2 weeks unless you're Kieran Tierney. Then you miss what, 3 days?
Oh yeah, well, if you really need to be somewhere, they just claim it's a false positive, don't they?
Yeah, for sure. But no, thanks a lot for coming on today, Connor. It's been great to have you.
Ollie. I'm glad that you got yourself a goal in your commentary.
I enjoyed having that goal to look over on the back of a 0-0 on the Saturday game. I was actually due to be commentating on the Leeds game against Villa as well, and that was on pay-per-view. So we didn't mess about with that in the end. But I could have had 3 goals. So actually, in the end, it's turned out to be an okay weekend. Could have been a really good one if we had the Villa game on and the Bamford hat-trick. But hopefully next weekend.
I'm a bit disappointed that Sky Sports come out and said that any of the games that are be on pay-per-view, the reason why they're on pay-per-view is because we wouldn't show them anyway.
Yeah.
Well, would you have Sky Sports? Have the Premier League ever played a game before on a Friday night at 8:00 that's not been available to view for audiences? There's never been a Friday night Premier League game that's made you wait until match of the day on Saturday evening, has it?
No.
I don't know what their excuse is there. And I believe it was the Burnley Sheffield United game that only had about 35 people pay.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
That's the way it should be done. And I believe the Newcastle, obviously Sky won't mention it, but Newcastle Man United game, instead they raised about 18 grand towards a food bank or something instead of people buying the pay-per-view. Yeah. So I'm glad that the boycott is working.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we should live in a world where in a couple of years' time, £25, not even that, £15-20 a month should give you every single Premier League, Champions League game on a service, the same way that you can watch, thousands of films and TV shows and music.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Just quickly as well, it was finished 1-1 earlier between Brighton and West Brom, for anyone that wanted to know the score in that one. But we'll wrap it up there.
Yeah, it was a Livermore own goal. And I'm not sure who got the equaliser in the end for West Brom. I think it was Carlin Grant. Yes, it was Carlin Grant. After Jake Livermore put the ball into his own net, it was 1-1 in the end. Didn't look like the most exciting game to pay 15 quid for.
No, that's that's why I don't like to spend all these £15 on the pay-per-view stuff. We watched the Arsenal Leicester game yesterday via a stream. Actually, we were watching it on here. Me and Rye, we were watching it together, and that's the best way of doing it. I don't want to spend £15 because I'm part of the boycott, same as you, mate.
Yeah. I mean, there's too many people. In a town like Burnley, they can't afford to waste £15 on their team and Russ has just said some Leeds fans raised over 30 grand for a food bank instead of paying to watch Villa versus Leeds. So it's working. And the Premier League, their greed will come to get them in the end. It usually does for most people. Although 2020 is looking less promising for those who don't care too much about the colour of money. But we should probably let people go. Arnie, thank you for being with me today. taking me along the ride of my first game.
It's been good. I'm glad you had a goal as well for your first one. How did you find it?
I haven't irritated you too much.
Nah, all good, mate. How did you find it? And we'd love to get you back on as well. Maybe over the weekend for a game or something on the weekend. Yeah.
No, it's great fun. Obviously, I'm naturally used to just sort of being like a lead commentator. So there may have been times in the second half where I'm just used to sort of cutting people off when I'm watching the game and just sort of talking in that filter. But yeah, I enjoy it so much. It's not quite the same as being at a ground, but this is good for me. This is essentially good practice for off-tube commentary. And
there you go. Russ has said it there. Premier League want to drop the price to £10 to keep games on pay-per-view. I actually saw an article, was it yesterday, that they're actually thinking about scrapping pay-per-view altogether, which would be ideal. Yeah.
That would be ideal for me. Look, I want to say to anyone who's watching it, if you've got £10 to spend on a weekend to watch your team, use it. You can pay, like my local team, Sutton United, are charging £9.50 to watch their home games live, me commentary in, or my other friend Ahmed commentating. We show the full game, and that actually helps support the club survive, not just to put more money in the Premier League's pockets or for Sky or BT's pockets. Clubs like Sutton United and clubs in the National League, they really do need support, and we can't allow spectators in at the moment. So, if we can get 100 to 1,000 people watching the game. We had Notts County at home in the league, and Notts County, obviously, they shouldn't really be a non-league club because of their massive fan base. And we were fortunate enough to get about 1,500 people watch that stream. So 1,500 people paying £9.50. That done so much for the club.
Yeah, it stacks up. Absolutely.
I implore to anyone, if you really want to watch a game at 3:00 on a Saturday, go to your local club's website and try and find their stream, because they could do with the money a lot more than these Premier League teams can.
And that's right. And that's what we'll wrap it up there actually just in 2 seconds. But that's what me and Rye are doing tomorrow. He's a Plymouth Argyle fan in League One, and I follow Stevenage in League Two, the bottom end of League Two at the moment. So we're going to, I've been doing it every single game that we've played this season in all competitions. Been paying the £10 for that via the iFollow, and we're putting the money into Stevenage, into the local club, rather than the Arsenal or United, Liverpool, Spurs, etc. Yeah,
I mean, they'll get their money eventually, the big clubs, and they can plead poverty as much as they want. But when we've already seen Macclesfield, they've had to just be completely wiped out.
Bury as well. Yeah,
the problem is that they could still, with the pandemic still going on, these clubs could still drop like flies. Sutton United, for example, they are a club that if they were to get promoted into League Two, it would bankrupt them because they have a 5G pitch at the moment. And the money that they make from being able to rent off that pitch is actually better than what they would make for being a League Two side. So they're in this really tough patch where until they can raise a significant amount of funds, they can't necessarily push for a promotion or do things that they would like to do as a club, because it's all about the money at this stage.
Yeah, and of course it's great to give back to these sort of lower end clubs as well. Take Stevenage for example. Through the coronavirus pandemic, Stevenage were out and very prominent in the local community, getting sandwich deliveries and prescriptions out there with volunteers all the way through the club, all the way to the management staff and the players and everyone getting involved. So it's great to give back to them. Yeah,
and that's what it's all about. Is you help your local football team, you're helping your local community, and you don't realise how many people rely on their local football club to be their source of interaction, and what's good for their mental health and an opportunity to see their friends. I know so many people that they don't necessarily have many friends or family or people around them, but there will always be at their local ground to watch their team. And that connection where you could have a little 2-minute chat with the striker, or ask the manager what he thinks, what he thinks the game's going to be like beforehand. You don't get those experiences from the elite game, and it means a lot to kids and even grown adults, because for a lot of people that's a lot to a lot of people, that's proper football. The football that we watch tonight, it doesn't entice people like it used to, and I implore you that non-league football is just as exciting as the Premier League at the moment.
All right, well, we'll wrap
women's football.
Yeah, women's football as well. But we'll wrap it up there. So thanks a lot, Connor, and hopefully we'll have you on very soon again.
I do apologise for my verbal diarrhea. Probably made the stream 30 minutes longer than necessary.
It's absolutely fine, mate. Absolutely fine.